This meeting of the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders was provided in the following manner. It was published in the press of Atlantic City, mailed to the Current, Daily Journal, Hamilton Gazette, Hamilton News, posted on bulletin boards in the Atlantic County office buildings, in Atlantic City, here at Stillwater and Northfield, and the county clerk's office in Mays Landing. Will all rise for an opening prayer.
God of all nations and peoples, grant us the knowledge and compassion to wisely execute the duties of our office. We ask, O God, that you bless our nation and this world with peaceful solutions in all controversy. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag. Attention. Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chairman, Rebecca Freeholder Meeting will not be here today. He's out of town. Bennett? Here. Bertino?
Here.
Horsey? Fitzpatrick? Here. Gatto? Here. Kern? Here. Risley?
Here.
And Formica.
Yes. Viewers, we've all been provided with a copy of our minutes from January the 21st. If you were present, had a chance to review them, wish to make any comments, corrections, or additions, please do so now. If not, I'll take a motion to adopt those minutes.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Horsey?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing this about 10 years, John Risley about 20. We've never seen this much interest in our budgets. Presentation tonight. But we do have our Atlantic County Economic Alliance is going to do a 12-minute presentation on these screens. And so we're going to have to get a little clear there. And then as the meeting progresses, sir, you're on the podium, that's okay right now, but everybody is going, if it wants to speak, is going to have to be able to get to that podium for our recording, please, okay? All right, first order of business, presentation.
Atlantic County Economic Alliance update by Lauren Moore, Executive Director of Atlantic County Economic Alliance.
Is this close enough, Mr. Chair? Do I need to get like right behind?
No,
it,
you
right?
can
I just
present
first
wherever you are. Yes.
Real quick, just want to say thank you very much for having me. Thank you for all of your support to date for the Atlantic County Economic Alliance. We're here tonight for a resolution in support of the organization, designating us as the lead economic development agency for Atlantic County. This is very important for us for a number of reasons. For grant applications that we make, and you'll see in the presentation that we've been successful, almost $2 million worth of grant applications to support our economic development strategy, and we're continuing to push in 2020 for additional grant applications. And also when we're working with the business community, and also when we're working with the state of New Jersey and all the state departments, that we are the county's lead economic development agency. So thank you very much for that. And this is a presentation that was prepared, and what you're going to see here is a video of our accomplishments for 2019 and our roadmap going forward of what we're going to concentrate on in 2020. And we put this together ourselves at no cost. This was an in-house produced product. Thank you, Justin Lefevre, the cameraman back there, because he helped me with this. So please enjoy this. We put a lot of hard work and effort into this, and I think you'll get a real good overview of what we're focused on. And thank you, Tara, for your help. 2019, the Atlantic County Economic Alliance takes flight. (2019) was a year of accomplishment for the ACEA. In our third full year of operation, we made great strides in establishing the ACEA as the lead economic development organization for Atlantic County and as a highly reputable organization among local, regional, and national government, industry, and academic leaders. The ACEA has been recognized by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority as a model for creating an industry cluster. We have demonstrated how to build upon our existing assets of the Federal Aviation Administration, the Atlantic City International Airport, and the National Aviation Research and Technology Park. The 66,000 square foot state-of-the-art first building at the NARTP is now fully tenanted by 9 businesses that expect to employ as many as 300 individuals. A ribbon cutting for the building was held in June and attended by hundreds, including Governor Murphy, Congressman Van Drew, Senators Sweeney and Brown, Assemblyman Mazzio and Armato, County Executive Dennis Levinson, and Freeholder Chairwoman Amy Gatto, as well as former Governor Florio and the late Ambassador Bill Hughes and former Congressman Lobiano. In addition to FAA Hughes Center Director Shelley Yack and Stockton President Dr. Harvey Kessel. Interest in the park continues to grow as we discuss planning and financing for buildings 2 and 3. Strong interest from companies such as Boeing, Lockheed, and Raytheon is due to our outreach and marketing efforts, as well as our focus on developing and enhancing our partnerships with the FAA, the South Jersey Transportation Authority, the Atlantic County Improvement Authority, and the National Institute of Aerospace, and others. While tenants complete build-outs and take occupancy, the NARTP remains an active facility, having hosted the Star Aviation Academy STEM Workshop, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Camp Invention, the Atlantic County High School Superintendent's Meeting, the Atlantic County Economic Development Advisory Commission, and most notably, the FAA Continuous Lower Energy Emissions and Noise, or Clean 2 Conference, for which we owe our sincere appreciation to Shelley Yack, John Schleifer, and Dr. Eric Niederman. With the help of Triad Associates, we have also had great success in obtaining $240,000 in grants to support the development of our aviation cluster, including plans for an $8 million aviation maintenance and technical academy at the airport. The academy is critical to attracting maintenance and repair operations, additional air carriers, and training workers for the aviation and wind energy industries. The ACEA helped achieve an agreement to relocate a bird sanctuary from 300 acres at the airport that'll now be available for aviation-related development. With the county's approval, the ACEA put an attractive $5.75 million financing package on the table for Elevate Jet to build a 23,500 square foot hangar at the airport that could result in 180 high-paying jobs within 3 years at an average salary of more than $100,000. The ACA has coordinated meetings between Elevate Jet and the state's top economic development officials. Most recently, we provided a second comprehensive proposal to address quality of life, state and local taxes, and talent recruitment. One of our key accomplishments was the award of a $1.7 million I-6 Challenge grant from the U.S. Economic Development Administration to create a smart airport and aviation partnership led by the National Institute of Aerospace. We were one of only 23 selected from 183 applicants across the country. Other successful applicants included Johns Hopkins, Cornell University, and the Mayo Clinic. Not bad company. As a part of this grant, we will work with our partners in Cape May County to promote development of technology related to the airport of the future. We are excited to announce that the Smart Airport and Aviation Partnership is now selecting the first companies for a new business and innovation accelerator program at the NARTP. We intend to take full advantage of the Atlantic City International Airport's designation as a research and smart airport testbed. Boeing is interested in ACY for unmanned cargo aircraft testing. Others are now interested in Atlantic and Cape May counties for anti-drone research, which could present a new frontier in aviation research for our region. We are also working to designate ACY as an urban air mobility testbed. We seek to attract a new generation of innovators who are looking to move people by air within urban areas in a safe,
efficient, and environmentally friendly manner. To meet the growing demands of this developing aviation cluster, we recognize the need to strengthen our workforce. One of the ways in which we are doing this is through our partnership with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University to bring its Aviation STEM Initiative program to Atlantic County high schools. The ACA helped facilitate meetings between Embry-Riddle, Atlantic County Superintendent of Schools Robert Bumpus, and high school superintendents. The response was extremely positive. The Atlantic County Institute of Technology was the first to implement the program this past fall, and 3 additional schools expect to come on board next fall. Participating students have the opportunity to earn 1 semester of college credits and industry certifications by the time they graduate. It starts them on their way to high-paying, sustainable jobs, the type we are trying to help create, so they won't have to leave the area to find them. The ACEA and Bob Bumpus helped coordinate a 2-day visit by representatives of Embry-Riddle in mid-October, who provided unmanned aerial system demos and in-flight training at Buena Regional High School and ACIT for students from 8 local high schools. It is also hoped that Embry-Riddle will play a role in the future operation of the Aviation Maintenance and Technical Academy in cooperation with Atlantic Cape Community College. The ACA also focused on recruiting partners for our Academic Research Consortium, the first of its kind in New Jersey. The consortium currently includes Embry-Riddle, the National Institute of Aerospace, Stockton University, Rowan University, and Atlantic Cape Community College. We are now working with the NARTP to engage other universities including Drexel, Princeton, and Rutgers. In addition to promoting the aviation cluster, the ACEA further encouraged diversifying the economy with the growth of wind energy and esports. After having helped Orsted find office space in Atlantic City, the ACEA continues to support its plans for an 1,100 megawatt wind farm off the coast of Atlantic City. The ACA is also working closely with EDF Renewables and Shell New Energies, which are considering a joint office headquarters in our area. The ACA worked with Continent 8 to service the online gaming industry and establish a data center to support e-gaming and e-sports, the latter of which made a successful debut in Atlantic City in 2019 with 3 big events: the Collegiate Star League Grand Finals, the Esports Travel Summit, and the Halo Classic. Hats off to Anthony God of In-Game, an unrelenting driving force to bring esports to Atlantic City. And congratulations to Stockton as the ECAC Fortnite champions. We also partner with our local chambers to promote greater awareness among the business communities of our regional assets and the services and efforts of the ACEA. Most recently, the Greater Atlantic City Chamber played an integral role in the tours of Boeing's Eco Demonstrator at the Atlantic City Airport. We are equally proud and appreciative of the support we receive from our local government partners at the county and municipal levels. The ACEA advised officials of grant opportunities such as the Main Street Program and a Neighborhood Preservation Program, and offered grant application support. Together, we are educating the public about our economic development strategy and working to build interest and support among business communities. To help accomplish this, we implemented an effective marketing strategy this past year that included a 30-second TV commercial, a 60-second radio ad, print ads in Aviation Weekly, the Air Traffic Control Association Journal, the Press of Atlantic City and the Currents, a digital banner ad in the press, in addition to regular social media posts and videos, a quarterly newsletter, press releases, media interviews, and community outreach and presentations. We also finished our collateral brochure that'll go to print after tonight and be ready for distribution in 2020. I'm also happy to report that the ACEA remains fiscally and operationally sound. having earned 2 clean audits for 2017 and 18, with the expectation for the same for our 2019 audit. Although we will be facing additional levels of complexity in managing the federal I-6 Challenge Grant and others, we are committed to maintaining a high level of performance. 2020, the ACEA soars to new heights. With a strong tailwind and growing momentum, the ACEA is positioned to soar to new heights in the coming year. One of our top priorities will be to accelerate workforce development. We will continue to work with our educators, labor representatives, and legislators to build upon our 2019 successes and expand training opportunities. We will seek funding support to offset costs of bringing the Embry-Riddle Aviation STEM program to as many area high schools as would like. The ACA will continue to educate our legislators about our assets and efforts to diversify the economy, providing tours and updates and face-to-face meetings with key stakeholders. We also intend to work closely with the governor and state legislators to provide a new business attraction and retention incentive package that the ACEA believes is imperative to success of any business's economic development strategy. We will seek a $4 million U.S. EDA grant to construct the Aviation Maintenance and Technical Academy and hope to break ground on construction within the next 2 years. We will seek a state budget line item appropriation of up to $1 million to support the growth and operations of the NARTP. And while we were unsuccessful last year, we will not be deterred. We will fight even harder in 2020. The ACA will work with the NARTP and the FAA to attract more conferences and meetings, such as Clean 2 and Tech Tuesday, to showcase our assets and elevate our profile. We will continue to work with Boeing to initiate autonomous flight testing at Atlantic City International Airport. Autonomous flight testing is the wave of the future, and we are uniquely positioned to accommodate it within our aviation research triangle, anchored by Atlantic County, Cape May County, and the joint base of McGuire, Fort Dix, and Lakehurst. The ACEA is also focused on developing 5G wireless network for the Aviation Innovation Hub. We are also going to aggressively promote and market our Federal Opportunity Zone. We have significant investor interest. 2 investors have specifically expressed interest in the second and third buildings at the NARTP, bringing private capital into the park. While the scope of work in the aviation sector is expanding exponentially, the ACEA is also committed to supporting our existing business community and growing the wind energy and esports industries. In 2020, we will also take a hard look at how we can promote Eds and Meds as a part of our life sciences cluster. Our marketing and outreach efforts will be two-pronged, promoting the ACEA services to local municipalities and businesses, and promoting our targeted industries by emphasizing partnerships and grant opportunities. We hope to deputize our local officials to identify businesses in need of assistance, whether at risk of leaving or in growth mode. We will share best practices, training opportunities, support services, and resources. We want to ensure that we are doing everything possible to retain businesses and help them realize their growth potential. We will implement our 23 days of business promotion to meet with officials in each of the county's 23 municipalities for this purpose. We will also collaborate with our towns and chambers to provide an Atlantic County relocation guide, something that is much needed as a part of our business attraction and outreach efforts. I think you will agree that 2019 was a very successful year for the ACEA. I'd like to take this opportunity to again thank County Executive Dennis Levinson and Chief of Staff Howard Kyle. We simply wouldn't be here tonight if it weren't for their vision and determination. I also want to thank all of our freeholders and all of you, trustees, board members, investors, and partners, for your faith in us. We need your ongoing support more than ever. I'd also like to commend my outstanding staff, Francine, Max, and Noel, for the large part they play in our success. They are without a doubt one of the most capable and talented economic development teams anywhere. My sincere thanks to this great team. As we head into next year, I am excited at what awaits us. Walt Disney once said, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. We are definitely doers at the ACEA. I hope you will continue to help us do great things in 2020 and beyond. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
All right, I will entertain a motion to move Resolution 84 be voted on next, please.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Resolution 84, please.
Authorizing the designation of the Atlantic County Economic Alliance as the lead agency for regional economic development in Atlantic County.
Moved and seconded. Any public input? Yes.
I just have a question. Watching that video, there was nothing indicated as to what they're doing about the roadways. They're bringing all of that in. I work at the FAA. We don't even have a traffic light at the circle that was redesigned, so we're already trying to squeeze out. There's a traffic light down on Delilah, but how is that going to, with all this new business and buildings going into the park, how is that going to be handled?
So the mission of the Atlantic County Economic Alliance was to be the private side to the public-private partnership between the Improvement Authority and private investors. Like there's many businesses like Park Bank, Atlantic Care that are investing in this. So they're just coordinators on the development of business. The answer to your question is, at your last meeting, it was beyond my comprehension how the state of New Jersey wants to take over this airport.
Right.
With the New Jersey Port Authority, but they told us they didn't have any money to do West Coast Road. Okay, so the answer to that question lies somewhere within the legislature and the administration of the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. Freeholder comments?
I just want to say, Lauren, you and your team have just done an outstanding job since you started. I know that the ACEA was born from the Angelo Economic Report that was done a few years ago to help us implement that plan, and I think you guys have done a really great job. And there wasn't a ton of mention, and I know why, but you are still focusing on the hospitality realm of our area, which is also very important. And just had legit constituent requests for Panera, Dooney's Pub, and Miller's Ale House. If you could work that into the plan too, that would be great. But you guys are doing an amazing job.
You mean they want to build a bakery?
They got mac and cheese.
All right. Any other comments? We'll call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Gatto?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to ordinances. We have ordinance 1.
An ordinance amending the Atlantic County Water Quality Management Plan concerning an increase of the Buena Borough Municipal Utilities Authority wastewater treatment plant effluent discharge from 400,000 gallons per day to 600,000 gallons per day. Final reading.
Moved and seconded. A motion in an ordinance in its final reading welcomes public input. Does anyone in the public wish to discuss this particular ordinance? Seeing none. Any freeholder comments on this ordinance? Seeing none. We'll call the roll.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto,
Yes.
Kern,
Yes.
Risley,
Yes.
and Formica.
Yes. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the budgets, the exciting part of the meeting is here. We're going to introduce our budgets by line. There'll be no public comment because they will be read again 2 weeks from now and everybody can comment on them. So, resolution 90.
Introduction of the 2020 Atlantic County budget, first reading.
Motion.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any freeholder comments?
I just would say, Chairman, that as the budget subcommittee, we worked very closely with the county administration and staff. They all continue to always do a great job, so I want to say thank you to that. And, you know, our goal, as usual, was to at least remain flat, which we have done. And I think we're very happy with what we're putting forward.
Freeholder Risley.
Thank you, Chairman. I would also note that the public health and library is down slightly as well. And if you go on the website, and you look at the budgets of this county the last 6 years, and you do the numbers over the last 6 years, they're all printed on the website. You'll see that the county has been very conservatively managed for a number of years. And that goes back through the Squires administration and the Worthington administration as well. Our budgets have averaged somewhere, if you go back the last 6 years, up about 1.5%. So we've managed the county pretty tightly over the years. And that's the product we have today.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Chairman,
Yes, Freeholder Corsi.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say something. I would echo my colleague, Chair of the Budget Committee, to Jerry and certainly to the staff, because I think we've asked some pretty tough questions this round, and you have been forthcoming with our requests and our answers. You may not have always liked your answers, but Bonnie and staff have done an outstanding job of providing us with what we requested. And I think that the residents of Atlantic County will be pleased with this budget at the end of the day. You know, nobody wants to see the taxes go up. Everybody wants all the services they can get. We continue to talk about shared services throughout Atlantic County. We will continue to talk about shared services with the county, in particular with Atlantic City and other municipalities who have come in, who have made some requests regarding shared services and stuff that we continue to look at as a board. But I think overall, I think it's fair to say that the committee has been very pleased with the information you brought forward, and taxpayers, at the end of the day, should be very pleased that, as Amy has indicated, you talked about, you continue, this is probably one of the few counties that I can think of, always wind up with at least a $9 million surplus. That says a lot, and it's not that because we have a $9 million surplus. It just goes to tell you that it's not wasteful spending, and that at the end of the day, because it was really more than $9 million, but we were able to use additional $9 million towards this budget. So it speaks volumes in terms of how Bonnie and staff take the taxpayers very seriously in terms of spending wise. I still think there's some folks who's underpaid. We can talk about that at another time. But the point is, when you can continue to come back year after year after year, and you look at surpluses, that says a lot about the job you continue to do. Thank Bonnie and your whole entire staff. We know we always give Jerry the credit. Jerry don't crunch the numbers at the end of the day, but we know that your staff do, and we can't say enough about it.
And Diane is here, and Jeff is here, and they're the people that crunch the numbers and work with the departments. And you got the department heads, and you got the division directors, and the constitutional officers. You're supposed to manage your budgets, and they do.
And they did the job.
I'd just like to echo what my colleague has stated. It's all true, all correct, and we've been able to slowly but surely increase our surpluses over the years, and we've always maintained a policy of taking 50% of the surplus and applying it to next year's budgets. So it's really very effective budgeting, and everything that the course you said was right on point. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other freeholder comments? We'll call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Abstain.
Corsi,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 91, please.
Atlantic County Public Health Annual Budget Notice 2020, first reading.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. There'll be public comment in 2 weeks. Any freeholder comments? None, we'll call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 92, please.
Atlantic County Library Annual Budget Notice 2020, first reading.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino. Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 93, please.
Resolution to exceed the county budget appropriation limits and to establish a 2020 cap bank, NJSA 48:4-45.14, first reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any freeholder concerns?
All part of the budget process. I know it sounds like it's doing a lot, but it's just part of the paperwork.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. 94, please.
Resolution adopting the tax levy cap to be applied to the 2020 county budget.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Public input here. Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, moving on to grants, 95.
Grant application and acceptance from the National Association of County and City Health Officials for the Medical Reserve Corps Operational Readiness Award, amount not to exceed $2,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anybody in the public wish to speak to this? Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 96.
Grant application and acceptance from the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management through Hazard Mitigation Grant Program for the Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan Update. Funded amount $126,000, in-kind match $42,000.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Public input? Freeholders? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 97.
Amending Resolution Number 586 adopted October 22nd, 2019, a grant application and acceptance from the United States Department of Justice for the Liberty Mid-Atlantic High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Grant, net increase $14,500.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public interest here. Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. Moving on to professional services contracts, 98.
Amended professional services contract with French and Perella Associates for engineering design services associated with the replacement of Bungalow Park Bridge, EHC 08, Egg Harbor Green Bank Road, County Route 563, over Indian Cabin Creek in Egg Harbor City, net increase $59,944.20.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public interest on this road improvement. Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 99.
Renewal bid contract with U.S. Corrections Limited Liability Corporation to provide prisoner transportation services, amount not to exceed $29,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public comments? Freeholders? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 100.
Bid contract with Journey Contracting Company Incorporated to provide the removal and replacement of the roof at the Shoreview Building.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public concerns? Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 101, please.
Bid contract with various vendors to furnish and deliver non-perishable food requirements to the Department of Human Services, amount not to exceed $194,208.49.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public questions? Freeholders? Call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, moving on to change order 102.
Change order number 1 and final with AE Stone Incorporated for the resurfacing of Egg Harbor Green Bank Road for reduction of work, net decrease, $56,474.89.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. A change order where we spend less money gets the board excited. Excuse me. Public input, freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, lease agreements 103.
Lease agreement with Halawasa, which stands for Hallelujah, What a Savior, for use of facilities to conduct 48-hour intoxicated driver resource center programs, amount not to exceed $32,250.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public input, freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett. Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. Moving on to miscellaneous 104.
Amended agreement with the Township of Egg Harbor concerning improvements to the intersection of Ocean Heights Avenue and Blackman Road, amount not to exceed $1.
Moved and seconded. Public input. Freeholders, call the roll for $1, please.
Bennett. Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes.
Intergovernmental Services Agreement with the City of Pleasantville to administer the Department of State Complete Count Commission County Grant Program funds for use in conducting the United States 2020 Census Count, amount not to exceed $30,150.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public input. Freeholder comments. Let's call the roll.
Bennett. Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. On this particular resolution, which is assisting funding for the census for the city of Pleasantville, we have a similar resolution that we just added at the request of Atlantic City, which is 124. I will take a motion to add that resolution to today's agenda, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any public interest? Freeholders, we'll call the roll to add it.
Bennett. Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick. Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, then I will please ask the board to move this resolution up to and next to the Pleasantville one for the next resolution, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Please read Resolution 124.
Intergovernmental Services Agreement with the City of Atlantic City to administer the Department of State Complete Count Commission County Grant Program funds for use in the United States 2020 Census Count, amount not to exceed $20,050.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone in the public wish to speak to this? Yes? Try to make your way to that podium. Just please state your name, where you're from.
We'll just be real quick. I'm Christian Moreno with the Atlantic City CCC.
Hey, my name is Edbelinda Nambo, Mimi Nambo with the Atlantic City Census Count Committee Chairperson. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for your hard work. Thank you. And everyone that's here today, please don't forget to be counted. Please complete your census form. Thank you.
Yeah. Specifically, thank you to Chairman Formica for being receptive to our time-sensitive issues. We really appreciate you being a friend to us on this issue.
Thank you for coming and showing your interest.
Thank you.
Any other comments? We'll call the roll.
Bennett. Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick. Gatto. Kern. Risley. And Formica.
Yes, moving on to 106.
Intergovernmental Services Agreement with the Atlantic Cape Community College for the provision of a Women in Sustainable Energy and Get Into Energy training programs, amount not to exceed $33,006.
Moved and seconded. Any public interest here? Freeholder comments? Call the roll.
Bennett. Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 107.
Intergovernmental Services Agreement with the South Jersey Transportation Authority for the provision of community shuttle services along Route 40 and Route Quarters, amount not to exceed $150,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public interest. Freeholders, call the roll, please.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino. Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 108.
Amended intergovernmental services agreement with the City of Northfield regarding improvements to Mill Road, Maple Run Bridge through Fillmore Drive to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public concerns. Freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 109.
Amending an agreement of sale with the Township of Galloway for the Mill Pond Watershed Tract Acquisition Project to extend the term date only, no additional cost.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public concerns. Freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 110.
Contract list, SAMR Supreme Asset Management and Recovery Incorporated for the private sale and removal of surplus and obsolete computer items and equipment, amount not to exceed $650.
Second.
Motion second. Public interest. Freeholders, call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino.
Yes.
Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, 111.
Contract with Iman Associates PC to complete the provider assessment tool for the county option hospital fee pilot program, amount not to exceed $145,000.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone in the public wish to speak to this?
Chairman?
Yes. Yeah. You're very good there.
Thank you. Chairman, first of all, thank you for posting this important resolution and to the Freeholder Board for your consideration. I'm Frank Lee, Director of Government Relations for Manicare Health System, here to speak in support of the resolution. To just give you a quick history on this, this initiative, this concept has been around for approximately 6 years. To give you a quick perspective, at the time this was first initially conceived, it was actually to help a young mayor in the city of Newark by the name of Cory Booker. So you, as we all know, Mayor Booker has moved in his career, but to just give you a perspective on how long the state had been considering an initiative like this. Essentially, the initiative will do three things. One, it will bring more federal dollars to the state of New Jersey. And for those of us who live here, we know that New Jersey literally ranks last in terms of federal dollars that come back to the state. So we think that's a win for the state. Secondly, it will bring additional Medicaid dollars to the state so that hospitals and providers can treat our most vulnerable population in an enhanced way. And third of all, I'm happy to report to the Freeholder Board, this initiative actually brings property tax relief to the county taxpayers because of the involvement of the Freeholder Board. So that's kind of the goals of the initiative. Just again, brief history. An initial proposal was considered by the state approximately 6 years ago. At that time, Governor Christie was governor, and his philosophy was that this could be as a fee or an assessment in his mind could be perceived as a tax, and he made a no tax pledge. So the initiative kind of was put on the back burner. When Governor Murphy was elected and the new legislature, they reconsidered the initial proposal. I think they made a number of excellent legislative changes or improvements, and ultimately the bill was signed by Governor Murphy in November of 2018. Under that legislation, it creates the potential of a pilot program in 7 counties throughout New Jersey. So it's Atlantic and Camden to the south, Middlesex and Mercer, Central, and up north it's Passaic, Essex, and Hudson counties. So each Freeholder Board, each governing body will consider this separately in their own jurisdictions. It's a 5-year pilot program, and under the provisions of the program, it sets up a mechanism in which the county, in this case Atlantic County, would assess a fee. From the hospital's perspective, clearly a voluntary arrangement. The funding in the arrangement is based on the percent of Medicaid population that the individual hospitals treat. Those funds would then be forwarded to the county. The county, in turn, would forward those to the state of New Jersey, Department of Human Services, where they would receive a federal 50% match and then send those dollars back to the hospitals. So at the end of the day, it's literally is a win-win-win. So the hospitals get enhanced Medicaid funding without having to raise fees. The state gets an administrative fee. The county gets a much more beneficial administrative fee, and hopefully everybody's happy. So the reason you're considering Iman Associates is because they're one of the leading experts in the country on putting this plan together. So timeline would be, if this resolution is successful tonight and the county engages this consultant, over the next 3 months, a county plan would be put together. It would be submitted to the state and the federal government over the summer for approval, and then the program could start January 1st, 2021. So in a nutshell, that's it, Chairman. Be happy to answer any questions.
I think you explained it very well. Freeholder Bertino.
Just one question, Frank. Do you happen to know the legislation, the bill that was passed, the number on it? So it's the first I've heard of it, and I just want to do a little more research at the
Sure.
state level.
Yeah, I can.
Is it 2758?
Yeah. Is it, oh, it's on there. Yes, that's 2758.
All right. Any other comments? Go to Patrick.
So we're voting on a pilot program and an assessment tool. We're not voting to start getting the fees yet. Is that correct?
I think,
We're hiring.
Jerry, could you explain this a little better?
Well, no, the resolution is to contract with Iman Associates to help the county and the hospitals put together the plan. That's what we're voting on today.
What the pilot would be?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions? And we'll call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bertino,
Yes.
Corsi.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes. Now, freeholders, we have 11 resolutions of just appointments and reappointments. And I see Mayor Kreischer here as one of the appointments. Is anyone else here being appointed or reappointed to committees or any ad hoc? No? Nobody but? All right, Mr. Mayor, we're going to read these, we're going to combine and adopt all these. Okay, good. I'll take a motion to combine and adopt all the appointments and reappointments from 112 to 122.
Second.
Moved in second, public input. None. Freeholders, let's call the roll.
Bennett.
Yes.
Bertino. Corsi. Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Risley.
Yes.
And Formica.
Yes, all appointed and reappointed. Okay. And now, we are moving on to Resolution 123.
Resolution declaring the County of Atlantic a Second Amendment lawful gun owner county, sponsored by Ernest D. Corsi, Public Safety Committee Chair.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, well, I'll leave it up to you. Freeholder Corsi, I was going to have that read. I would like you to please read the resolution from the title all the way through, please.
Resolution declaring the County of Atlantic a Second Amendment lawful gun owner county. Whereas the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." And whereas the state of New Jersey was the first state to ratify the Bill of Rights, including the right to keep and bear arms, and the New Jersey Supreme Court has recognized it as a fundamental right of its citizens. And whereas some of the 44 bills introduced in the state legislature and certain legislation introduced in the current session of the United States Congress could have the effect of infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. And whereas the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders is concerned about the passage of any bill containing language which could be interpreted as infringing on the rights of the citizens of the County of Atlantic to keep and bear arms, or which could begin a slippery slope of restrictions on the Second Amendment rights of the citizens of the County of Atlantic, and whereas the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders expresses its deep commitment to the Second Amendment rights of its citizens, and whereas the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders believes the state legislature should focus its attention on reducing illegal gun ownership and criminal enterprise, and whereas the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders opposes any law that would unconstitutionally restrict the rights under the Second Amendment of the citizens of Atlantic County, and whereas the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders recognizes that the County of Atlantic stands as a county for Second Amendment rights and opposes, within the limits of the Constitution of the United States of America, any efforts to unconstitutionally restrict such rights, and that the county will use such legal means as at its disposal to protect the rights of the citizens to keep and bear arms. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Atlantic hereby upholds the Second Amendment rights of the citizens of the County of Atlantic, and hereby declares its intent to oppose unconstitutional restrictions on the right to keep and bear arms, and shall not endorse those restrictions deemed unconstitutional. And be it further resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Atlantic shall be deemed a Second Amendment lawful gun owner county, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Governor's office and all members of the New Jersey State Senate and the New Jersey General Assembly.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, so we will take comments from the public on this. It'll be a 3-minute time. Okay, we'll try to get as many people as possible, but please keep your comments to 3 minutes. State your name, please, and where you reside.
My name is Janet Younghans. I reside in Upper Township, New Jersey. I am here with members of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, the local chapter of Atlantic and Cape May. I have with me a letter from our New Jersey Attorney General. I wanted to ask you if you have received a copy of that letter. It's actually probably not, because it was to the county prosecutors, but basically he's saying recently some local elected officials in New Jersey and elsewhere have sought to pass resolutions declaring the jurisdiction's opposition to firearm safety laws. Generally speaking, these efforts, properly known as Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions, take 2 forms, and he's talking about a milder and a harsher version. It goes without saying that local and county officials are free to express their views on state and federal policies. What they may not do, however, is prevent law enforcement from enforcing validly enacted and generally applicable statutes. As you well know, in other contexts, I have expressly rejected the notion that jurisdictions may provide sanctuary from legal accountability. In New Jersey, if you violate state criminal law, you are subject to state criminal prosecution. And while, of course, prosecutors may also exercise their discretion to achieve individual justice in individual cases, they may not adopt a position of categorical non-enforcement of our state's criminal law. My primary concern is not that law enforcement officers in New Jersey will stop enforcing firearm safety laws. Our officers know, based on their training and experience, that local elected officials may not dictate whether or when to enforce state criminal law. My real concern is that these so-called resolutions will confuse otherwise law-abiding residents who may incorrectly believe that they no longer have to comply with firearm safety laws, including carry laws and prohibitions of assault weapons, ghost guns, or large capacity magazines. This confusion can create serious risks for law enforcement and the public at large, with potentially deadly consequences. As we work to end gun violence in New Jersey, it is especially important we make clear that our state's firearm laws remain fully in effect. So I also wanted to point out to you that Gloucester County freeholders had a meeting, I don't know if it was last night or the night before. They had the same activists, the gun activists, approaching them about creating a resolution, and they actually had a position that they are not going to act on it. I want to remind you that you do not have to act on this. You do not have to vote yes or no. And in their case, this is Gloucester County, their position is that it is a state and federal matter, and the counties have no power, and they do not wish to pass anything that would confuse any public or law enforcement.
Thank you very much.
You can be next.
My name is Christine Piper. I live in Egg Harbor City. I'm with Moms Demand Action also. And I was very confused when I heard that this was about 44 upcoming New Jersey firearm laws, because I asked my state legislative lead and she said there are 5 laws coming up that we're concerned with, 3 of which are priority. So I found the 44 new gun bills on the American Gun Owners Alliance website, and they had a list which they considered anti-gun. An example, I went to look at these upcoming laws to see if they really were anti-gun. One is AJR 33, which designates June 2nd of each year as Gun Violence Awareness Day. That doesn't seem terribly anti-gun to me. Another was AR 53, which urges the President and Congress of the U.S. to declare gun violence a national emergency. That doesn't seem very anti-gun to me. And in fact, it is a national emergency when 100 people are shot and killed every day and 200 are injured every day. Our homicide rate is 25 times higher than that of other developed countries. So another one that actually was a gun restriction was A1417, which establishes certain criminal penalties for possession and transfer of firearms and ammunition to disqualified persons. In other words, a straw purchaser. That's how criminals get their guns. So that's one of the anti-gun laws coming up? I don't understand that. In fact, most Americans want stronger gun laws. 83% want want background checks for private and gun show sales. 72% want federal red flag laws. Gun owners have irrational fear. Some gun owners, not all of them. One guy in a Arcadia County article was suggesting if a group of more than 10 were involved in a home invasion, he would not be able to defend his home. I kind of wonder where he lives. Unfortunately, people that are most likely to be killed by the guns of white men aren't the bad guys. It's themselves and their families. Most murders and shootouts don't happen between strangers. They unfold within social networks among people of the same race. What's not irrational is the real dangers faced by women in abusive relationships. Access to a gun makes it 5 times more likely that the abusive partner will kill his female victim. Red flag laws help with that. People like my husband, who was threatened after he fired someone, red flag laws will help with that. Suicides. Teen suicides are a problem in New Jersey. Red flag laws will help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Americans want stronger laws, and if you're in...
3 minutes. Sir. I'll control the meeting, please. Thank you for your help.
If you are enabling the gun extremists, we're on the wrong side of
Okay, ma'am,
history.
you got your three. Thank you. Please, give me your name and where you're from.
Pardon me? Thank you. Thank you. My name is Sergeant Jose J. Santiago, U.S. Army retired. I live in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm a Cold War veteran. I'm also an Operation Iraqi Freedom Combat veteran. I've served honorably and loyally to defend the Constitution of the United States and its Bill of Rights, and by that I mean all its Bill of Rights. For all Americans, regardless of what party, what race, what religion, what creed. I'm also a registered Democrat, but I'm also a pro-Second Amendment Democrat and a victim of crime. Crime by people criminals who had guns that they acquired illegally, regardless of what laws were implemented. The only thing these laws did to me at that time was make me unable to defend myself. I was robbed, beaten, and gang raped by these criminals when I was just in my 20s. So the notion that sorry, this is me, emotional for me, especially as a victim of rape. The notion that a person does not have a right to defend themselves against these criminals, or they even insinuate that crimes like this would not happen without guns. That is not only wrong, it is a crime against the American people. And as far as laws, I noticed that a lot of people mention about laws. Let's not forget the Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the land. And our founding fathers put these laws for the protection of its people. So we could be able to protect ourselves against foreign governments who wish to influence against our own government. And yes, county laws are effective in defending the people's rights. Because let's not forget, the people is the ultimate authority from which all governments get their authority from. That quote is from Ben. In 3 minutes?
No, you got a few more seconds.
Well, I'll leave for one of my, since two the Monster Man actions had, I leave for one of my older brothers to take the over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, sir. Wants to be Mayor. Okay.
Hi, my name is Matthew Johnson from the city of Limeland. I want to comment on some of the very first comments that were made from the first speaker. First, I want to point out the fact that the resolution that was read earlier, I do not believe I heard the word sanctuary mentioned once. Thank you. The second thing I'd like to point out is the irony that our Attorney General would condemn a sanctuary when he himself violates federal law by trying to implement a state sanctuary for illegal entities. The Second Amendment sanctuary movement is a sanctuary to uphold the law for law-abiding citizens. Finally, I would like to say that I have been involved in Second Amendment activism since I was 12 years old. I actually have been supporting the right to permit to carry for many, many years. However, I do not intend to exercise this right because I am currently studying to become a Lutheran minister. I take this effort to protect the single mother walking home from her second shift in Atlantic City that fears for her life from criminal violence. I support the right for a synagogue to protect its citizens against anti-Semitism. And I support the right for people to defend themselves of all creeds, of all walks of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The very first word is life. And if one cannot defend one's own life, then their rights are forfeit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
People are in line.
There are people in line that are disabled.
There's a line.
No, Mika was first.
I don't see it. Go up there.
There's a whole line to that.
Let this lady go first, please, right there. Okay.
Go ahead.
Please state your name, Mary, even though I know it.
Hi everybody. My name is Mary Slomine. I live in Margate, New Jersey, and I'm here tonight because I had a very good conversation with Ernie Corsi, who is the Public Safety Committee Freeholder sponsor, and also Dennis Levinson, who is the head of the executive director of the county. And what I brought up to both gentlemen, and I want to say that it was an extremely peaceful meeting. I might have raised my voice a little bit, was simply that if you read this document, which I hope everybody here had the document and read it and didn't just go online and think that they know what it says, there are things in here that I asked Ernie Corsi and I also asked Mr. Levinson. Mr. Levinson told me he had not read the resolution, which I find to be totally insane, but I know he did. So if you go to paragraph 3, paragraph 3 starts out, whereas some of the 44 bills, okay? A lot of the lady that was on prior to me found those bills. I went online, I couldn't find those bills. I called Vince Mazzio's office. He mentioned that there was only 5 bills pending. So just having that 44 bills in here, it to me is illegal, because there aren't 44 bills before the legislature. If you want to amend it to 5, that's fine. And if you haven't read those bills, how can you vote on something?
Yes,
And then one other thing.
Excuse me, one
Frank,
thing.
I have the floor, and
I'm
I'll
going
give
to
it to you
suspend
really-
your time so you can continue on. The bills are in committees all over the state legislature. Just because they're not posted doesn't mean they're not bills. And we have researched, and we state in here some of the bills. We don't say every single bill, like the one declaring National Violence Day and the one being concerned for that. Some of the bills we believe can be infringing by this resolution. That's all.
Well, Mr. Formica, why didn't you just amend the bills? If you read them all, which I didn't do, I freely admit that. If all of these people read even half of those bills, I am a monkey's uncle. But let me get to paragraph 8. Paragraph 8 has a word in it that I would like you to take out, and that word is illegal. We are all taxpayers here, and I don't think there's one person in this room, I don't care if you are a gun owner or you're a submachine gun owner, that doesn't think county taxes and all taxes are high. We have a great quality of life and we have to pay high taxes. But you're suggesting using legal means. We don't even know what could come from this. And let me just end, I don't want you to use my tax dollars to support anybody's program. If somebody here wants to take their measure and hire a lawyer and go to the state, I commend you. I think that's wonderful. And I also want to say one other thing. When I was sitting here tonight, a gentleman walked in, I'm not going to say who it was, and he used the word leftist, okay? And I think, as citizens of this great country, we should stop putting labels. I don't consider myself a leftist. I consider myself a supporter of the Second Amendment right to bear arms. I don't happen to have a gun because my grandmother was mentally ill. And if I had had a gun, she would have killed people, okay? But that's my position, okay? That doesn't mean that you're in the same position I was in. And I told this to Mr. Levinson yesterday. So I would like you to take out amend paragraph 3 and take out the word legal in paragraph 8. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Everybody that's elected takes an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution in New Jersey, in the state of New Jersey, under the authority of the people. So when we see a right that we can correct, regardless of what it is, the legal means in no way indicates we're spending taxpayer money. It means that we have staff and we have research to correct a wrong. So let me give you an example. If we were talking about, whereas the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders stands as a First Amendment rights county, because we do not want any laws established that would stop somebody from practicing their religion, exercising, or creating a religion. That was the purpose of the First Amendment. It would be incumbent upon us to allow people to express their freedom of religion if they were so being impugned by some regulation or law, or any reason. So that does not infer, as I consulted with my legal counsel earlier today, that we're spending any money. It just means we're going to seek legal remedy if somebody is infringing the rights of the Constitution to the people of Atlantic County. For any reason. spend it. I'll be researching to help people if their rights are infringed, whatever the rights are.
Thank you. We thank
It's just what we're sworn to do. This amendment could easily be called Atlantic County stands up for the rights of the Constitution. Because and feel like we should be aware of things that might happen.
Public commentary.
We know how you feel.
Thank you.
I am allowed to respond, but thank you for correcting me.
We're the public.
Yeah.
Okay?
Before we go any further, I did ask the clerk to have Roger prepare to answer, and Mary did call me and raise some concerns about that language, and I want to be very clear what it was intended for, so we're clear what it is we're talking about. We don't want anybody to get all emotional and upset and start howling, cussing each other out. Let's try to stay as civil as we can. We've heard you on both sides of the aisle, and so we're at the point now, we're going to take a vote at some point, but I want our solicitor, and let me be clear, the committee have gone back and forth for the last couple of weeks. We've heard them on both sides of the aisle. We've asked our attorney to give us our legal interpretation, whether we all agree or disagree. I have some colleagues on the board that doesn't agree. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. Everybody who wanted to make suggestions and recommendations to the resolution was given that opportunity to do it from this board. Some chose not to. Some amendments was not added. But when Mary called and raised that question, I asked that our clerk notify our solicitor to make sure we're clear what the interpretation is, so there's no misunderstanding. Because I don't think any of us up here are going to use county and taxpayers' money to fight your battle. I'm very clear about that. And as I stated from the door, I never did, never will support a sanctuary county, and I told y'all that from the door. We've heard you. I thought it was the right thing to do in terms of going to the committee. We take in recommendations and suggestions from the committee members. They weighed in. Some was taken, some was not. But be as it may, I thought we've come up with a resolution that would somewhat answer or ease some of your concerns. But let me say this, Chairman, I know we're in the public portion. I don't think nobody, I shouldn't even speak, I don't believe anybody think, one, you're above the law. Whatever the law says you can and cannot do, you're going to have to abide by it. If you want to be some certified nut, you just go out there and start shooting at people. Whatever the consequences are, you deserve to get that consequence. I agree with the Attorney General. I consider him a friend of mine, and he raised some good questions and some concerns. However, you've come to this board, and I think we stated this in the beginning. It was really a state legislative issue that y'all brought to the county board, and we entertained it. We could have been like Northfield and other places and told you we wasn't interested in hearing your comments. However, our chairman made it very clear. We work for you, the people, whether we agree or disagree on the issue. But at the end of the day, it's our job to obey and to hold up the Constitution, which we were sworn to do. I make no qualms about that. I make no apology about it. That's your Second Amendment right. I don't carry a gun. I don't like them. But be as it may, if that's what you choose to do, the law allows it. It is what it is. So I'm asking our Solicitor Chairman if he would explain that last whereas. Mr. Steele?
Which whereas are you talking about?
The last whereas.
Paragraph 8.
Paragraph 8? Okay, particularly the use of the words will use such legal means at its disposal. I think that was the objectionable language, as I understand it from the commenter. This language in this resolution mostly came from the source documents, which were two resolutions that were previously passed by the County of Salem and the County of Cape May. Cape May was first in time. That resolution was then copied almost word for word and passed by Salem County shortly afterwards. That was the start of the resolution language. The language that you're looking at and you find objectionable was exactly as it is stated in this resolution, was exactly the same in both of those resolutions.
That doesn't answer the question.
We object to those.
I'm not looking for a confrontation. I'm trying to explain something. I would appreciate it if you would let me do so. Thank you. The words, such legal means at its disposal means exactly that, which may mean that there is no legal means at its disposal. In any event, none of this language suggests that the county would encumber any funds in order to take any action either for enforcement or for restriction of guns and gun laws. The fact is that the County of Atlantic is a county government. It is not a police enforcement agency, and it has no authority whatsoever in the state of New Jersey or this country to enact gun laws or to enforce them. That obligation rests with the police enforcement agencies, and it rests with the legislature of the state of New Jersey, and it rests with Congress of the United States. So the truth of the matter is,
That's the bottom line.
may I finish? It's like being home for Thanksgiving with all my family. The bottom line is that this is a position statement by perhaps a majority of your board of freeholders on the position of the strength and the support of legal and constitutional gun laws that have already been enacted or may be enacted in the future. All this resolution does is give the county's support through a vote of the majority of the board of freeholders to those legal constitutional laws. It does not suggest anything else. It does not suggest that the county will take any action. In fact, it can't. Is it understood? Anybody have a further question?
My question would be,
On that
if the
point.
county can't, okay, and I'm getting to that point, if the county can't, then why are we doing this and obviously getting a lot of people really upset? I mean, it seems a moot point, and why is it
The
even
Board of
being
Freeholders is entitled to take a position on any public statement or any public issue. That's
even
what
if it's
they're
getting the
doing.
public very upset?
That's exactly what they're doing. But
And
they're not in any
confused.
position, nor do they have authority
No,
to either enforce or or to implement gun laws.
Okay, so Chairman, let me conclude.
Thank you.
I-
Thank you.
Let me conclude by thanking Rodney for that. So again, let me just conclude by saying, we cannot tell the state legislature what to do, and I think most of you in this room are competent enough to know that.
That's right.
We've come, we heard you loud and clear, and it's our responsibilities as elected officials to hear what it is our constituents bring to us, whether, again, we agree or disagree. And at the end of the day, we're gonna have some folks that's gonna be mad at us no matter what the hell you do. Damn if you do, and damn if you don't. However, I would hope and pray that everybody will do what they can do under the law, be law-abiding citizens, and do the right thing. Again, I speak for myself. I'm not a gun carrier, gun owner, don't like guns. But who the hell am I to tell you what you can and cannot do if the law says in the Constitution that's your right? It is what it is. So I hope moving forward, again, I yield, if I can, Chairman, to Freeholder Gatto, who has raised a whole lot of issues regarding this resolution, and she brought a lot of light to what came out of the resolution. But again, my other colleagues, whether they were on the committee or not, raised some issues, and I think that at the end of the day, you need to respect our position is just as well as you like us to respect your positions. And with that, Chairman, I yield.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Just a couple of clarifying comments. The committee specifically removed language about financial resources, financial means to protect the citizens because we specifically did not want to commit taxpayer dollars to that. We specifically removed non-enforcement language about the county would not enforce gun laws because we didn't stand behind that at all. It's my understanding that our only legal means is to do resolutions and ordinances. That's it. So that is our only legal means. That's what we do at every meeting. It's just a couple clarifying comments I wanted to make.
All right, anybody else in the public wish to speak?
I know.
Lady in the back with the glasses.
No, he's speaking. Wait, he's
I'm sorry. I pushed him. You're going to be next, ma'am. I apologize. Miko, go ahead.
Thank you.
And your name. Nobody knows your secret name, so tell us.
Yeah, my name is Miko Lukita. I live in Mays Landing. I'm chair of Atlantic County on Revolution. So some of the questions that I had have already been answered in that discussion, although I do think that the term legal means is still a bit vague. So I am, of course, here today to provide comment. And I do ask that anyone, whether for or against, just do me the respect of letting me finish speaking before any comments or yelling or jeering or whatever. Today's resolution on making Atlantic County a gun sanctuary county, and regardless of the phrasing that is being used, it still gives into the efforts of those who are gun sanctuary enthusiasts. There are some potential consequences of it that concern me. I know that the specific phrasing in the resolution is any legal means. I ask that, given the confusion and concerns from the public, despite the attempt at clarification, much more specific language get put into the resolution, if it were to pass, to clarify the limitations therein, because otherwise, to take any legal action could be costing taxpayers money. Regardless of what you say, regardless of the fact that financial remedies has been taken out of the legislation, out of the resolution, the exact legal means can still include litigation. That being said, today here we do have many people who are supporting this resolution. They are organized. New Jersey has a strong host of gun safety laws on the books, and more being introduced from time to time. Some are good, some are bad, and the state legislature will deliberate their merits. This organized group could, if this resolution passes, return to the board's next meeting and declare that New Jersey's red flag laws are unconstitutional, or New Jersey's limitations on magazine size or the criteria for firearms licenses, any number of things. My question is, who would be the decider of when it is appropriate to act? Because you have already, by entertaining this resolution, given in to the pressures of an outside group. So my concern is that the board would then give in to pressures again. I don't want to have the risk of our taxpayer dollars going into suing any other entity of the state government or over these laws. I know that the specific I'm sorry, I keep saying legislation. The resolution, I'm sorry, I need to breathe for a second. I'm sorry. Are we going to move so quickly to pass this before we consider its impact? Less than 4 months ago, we had a shooting at one of our schools. If my memory serves correct, the gun that was used was not acquired legally. However, and I know that this resolution specifically opposes illegal gun ownership, but my response to that would be, would you be able to tell that someone is using a gun illegally? Would you be able to guess a gun wielder's intent? And I will cover time. I apologize.
Anybody else wish to speak? This young gentleman here. Right, I'm sorry. Somebody's got to keep you. I let her with the glasses first. I apologize.
Let it go. I'm sorry.
No,
I apologize.
No need to apologize. My name is Maureen Leidy. I live in Ventnor. I didn't come here with a prepared statement, but I felt like I had to make a statement after listening to both sides of the argument. First of all, you are using taxpayer dollars because you're here, you're listening, you're researching, we pay your salary, and this is what you're spending our money on, which is totally unnecessary. We have laws on the books. You've already admitted you don't hold any sway on these laws. You want to take it up with the state? Take it up with the state. Yes, there's a Second Amendment. Yes, you have the right to bear arms. And as for the argument of, the right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, you tell that to the Sandy Hook parents. You tell that to the Parkland parents. We need gun laws in this country. And if you want to take your group and go to Trenton, fine, but stay out of the county. And the county has no business getting involved.
To speak with our freeholders just as she is.
My name's Denny. I live
We're
in
free to
Mays
speak
Landing,
with our
New Jersey.
freeholders just as you are.
And I'm a gun owner, and I don't apologize to anybody for it. First of all, I think a lot of people that are anti-gun take a lot of the numbers and really distort them terribly. Okay, I worked part-time as a dispatcher for a local police department. And in almost 10 years, not one time did that police department stop a crime before it happened. And I have the utmost respect for law enforcement every place. Another thing that I never hear is people keep saying, well, the police are supposed to do this or police are supposed to do that. When President Reagan and Jim Brady were shot, I wouldn't even want to try and count how many law enforcement people were right there, and they couldn't stop somebody from walking out of the crowd and shooting the President of the United States and Jim Brady. I never hear that. Nobody ever mentions it. In 1936, a law was passed, the Pittman-Robertson Act, and everybody that buys a firearm or ammunition or anything to do with that pays a certain amount of money in that purchase that supports and maintains national parks in the United States of America. Firearms in this country, somebody mentioned the word guns, it's almost as bad as screaming fire in a crowded place. And there's a firearm by itself doesn't do anything. It's a paperweight, it's a doorstop. Then somebody comes along and they say, well, a 15-round magazine is illegal. Well, 15-round magazine is illegal, but only because they say so. A lot of the rhetoric we hear about stopping firearm tragedies from happening any place, they keep saying that we can save just one life. And those same politicians will vote to kill an infant born or unborn. Now, that seems to me... No, we're not talking apples and oranges. We are explaining if you're trying to save a life by passing gun laws or taking guns out of the hands of people that have purchased them legally and are not killing people every day, they're the same people that want to do everything else. I don't understand the rhetoric and the distortion of numbers used by the anti-gun crowd.
Nobody is asking for your gun.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're wrong.
I'm sorry, I just took right over it.
My name is Robert Taylor. I live in Mays Landing, New Jersey, and I want to tell everyone in this room, you don't know how lucky you are living in New Jersey, because there are states in this country where I can walk in with my valid driver's license and grab a gun. In New Jersey, it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months to get a permit. After you go through the process, which is investigated by the police department, they look up everything they can find about you. People are barking up the wrong tree if you want to stop people from New Jersey having the right to bear arms. You're barking up the wrong tree. Go to other states, whereas all they need is a driver's license. You are well protected and well covered by the police departments in this state to protect your rights not to carry. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come next, buddy. Come here. Cut the line.
Hi, my name is John Walsh.
Excuse me, please.
My name is John Walsh. I live at 2000 Grove Road in Northfield, New Jersey. I'm a legal gun owner, and I just have some questions for the moms that demands actions.
Now you gotta direct the questions at me, sir.
Okay,
there's no
right,
no conversation
I understand.
there.
One of the questions that I do have is, do they oppose legal gun owners or do they oppose criminals?
It's not being addressed by this board.
Because
okay?
I think
If
that
you
sometimes...
if you have something about the resolution, sir, want to make a comment about, Constitution, that'd be good.
I think sometimes that it gets lost in the shuffle of legal gun ownership and criminality. There are two separate things. A legal gun owner is properly vetted, especially in this state, like the last speaker said. The amount of vetting that goes through a legal gun owner in New Jersey is incredible. It's done when you file for your initial permit. For each firearm that you get, you have to be vetted, and then you're vetted the day that you pick up the firearm. So there's 3 separate vettings. You turn over your HIPAA rights. So that means that HIPAA rights that are held sacred by healthcare institutions are waived so that they can look to see if you have any mental issues in your family, in your life. There are so many legal gun owners that would never in a million years think about committing a crime.
Correct.
We are the people that, my kids go to the same schools that you go to. We want safe communities. We are not people that are going to cause crimes. There's 350 or so million guns in this country. If the amount of people that were committing these crimes were legal gun owners, we would have no one left in this country.
So why do you need this resolution?
We're not conversating.
We need this resolution because as legal gun owners, we do not want to be constantly legislated against. We are citizens just like anyone else, and we are seeing our rights being stripped away from us, and it's not right. There's 44 different bills being passed, and I'll grant some of them do make sense. If you're going to legislate gun laws, make them make sense. Don't single out legal, non-criminal people. That's all we're asking.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us all to come here tonight. We appreciate what you're doing.
It's your tax dollars at work, sir.
My name
There you
and well worth the price, too. My name is David Livingston. I live in Ventnor, New Jersey. Last Thursday evening, I had the honor to address the Ventnor City Commissioners when this resolution was presented to them. Since that time, I had a conversation with one of the 3 commissioners, and I was told that they're not even going to consider the resolution because of a jurisdictional matter, because it's not the place for the city to have a resolution declaring a sanctuary city. There is nothing positive that will come out of that resolution in Ventnor. The last thing we need is for a misinformed visitor in his bathing suit walking down Dorset Avenue with a 45 on his hip and stopping by Ventnor Coffee for a cup of coffee on his way to the beach. Because that's just going to create chaos of some sort. What it also does is that when it's brought to the police attention that this fellow's walking down Ventnor Avenue with a 45 on his hip in his bathing suit, now the police are distracted from doing other things that are more important. That would have been completely unnecessary had the resolution just stopped where it was in a jurisdictional matter. I don't understand the freeholders' insistence or consideration of a resolution that has no authority to accomplish anything. We don't have any gun laws on the books right now that are unconstitutional.
Disagree.
Because they've all been tested.
No.
They have, excuse me, they've been tested. If they have not been tested, they're in a process of being tested. Who deems a law unconstitutional? The Supreme Court.
Thank you.
Correct? In the state of New Jersey, the state Supreme Court, and then it can go on into a federal. So let's let them do their job. They do a fine job up till now. Nobody's trying to take your guns away. We don't want to take your guns away. I'm being very honest with you. We want the laws that we have on the books to be enforced properly by law enforcement. We want the prosecutors to prosecute people who violate the gun laws. that violate all laws. It's not just the gun laws. So why would we want to have a resolution here at this level that will not have any effect on anything that happens outside of this county or inside this county? I think it's useless. I think it's a waste of our time. I'm not going to get into the money issue, but we have so many more important things in this county that we should be talking about and considering and taking care of than person's gun rights. That's
Thank
my
you, sir.
time.
Thank you.
Roger Dutch, F. Seeking. Kind of glad I got to follow him because I was there Thursday night in Ventnor. And I do recall the same comments I'm hearing quite a bit from people. And nowhere in that resolution, nor will the resolution, if it gets passed, cause people to go out and wear guns and bikinis or run down the streets with sidearms. And I'm sorry, but if you feel that way and you think your grown adults and friends of residents are that stupid, you need to recheck what you're saying. I'm not going to use close to my 3 minutes. I'm going to remind you what I sat here and said 4 meetings ago, counting this meeting. This is about the Second Amendment. It's a constitutional right. You all took a sworn oath to protect that. If you vote anything less than yes for this resolution, then you're not doing what you were sworn in to do. Period. Thank you.
So you say. Yeah, ma'am, you can stay right there. We're gonna have to get flexible with this podium. I know I said it, but you know, there's nowhere to walk without tripping. So.
I'm sorry. I stepped on people. Diane Bechtold, Margate, New Jersey. I come before you to address the Second Amendment as it serves as the basis for the proposed resolution. Perhaps I can shoot some holes in the rhetoric that what was written there and subsequently ratified in the late 1700s must be applied literally in the 21st century. In 1791, there was only the militia armed with muskets, rifles, flintlock pistols, a cannon here and there, to keep peace among themselves, to defend from attack by native people, or to suppress an uprising by those bound in slavery. Today we have local and state police and 4 branches of organized military, plus National Guard, Air Marshals, FBI, ICE personnel, who are all armed for combat and/or law enforcement. In addition, in an amazing, albeit terrifying array of high-capacity magazine, automatic and semi-automatic arms with scope, silencers, night vision are readily available to the public. Consider as well that 17 amendments have been added to the original 10, proving that the writers of the original document did not have the power to see into the future. They could not, nor did not, address all matters of invention, life, nor liberty of subsequent generations. The very composition of your board would not be as it is today in the Founding Fathers' limited vision.
Hear, hear.
Instead of seeking to apply language concerning arms and militia from the 1700s, can we grow up and apply common sense legal safeguards to living in the 21st century in New Jersey? Instead of tweaking a resolution, instead of trying to load an AR-47 with buckshot, would the time be better spent taking the lead in supporting common sense legal law enforcement by withdrawing or voting no on the proposed resolution? I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Stand there.
No, I got me.
Because I could hear her. No. My name's Susan Lazarchik. I live in Mays Landing. Actually, I am a gun owner. But I do, as you can see, there's a lot of emotional feelings around this issue. I was reading the NJ 2A resolutions and looking at their stuff, and they were saying that some of the reasons that this creates a new nonpartisan relationships between citizens and their elected officials. It says, and I was saying this resolution is that it's nonpartisan. And this resolution is not nonpartisan. What is nonpartisan is 64% of Americans want stricter gun laws on gun sales. More than 9 in 10 Americans favor mandatory background checks, waiting periods, and gun registration. Also favored by most U.S. adult research. Cops will tell you common sense safety, public safety laws reduce gun violence and save lives in a way that still respects the Second Amendment. I'm asking that you not vote on this because it's a very emotional issue, and I think we're going to create more problems than we're going to solve. There's lots of unresolved issues in the country about this. This is a big one. And I ask that you not vote on this resolution.
My name is Guy Smith. I live in Northfield. The gentleman that had spoke that was in front of me kind of said a lot of what I wanted to say. The Second Amendment was written. It's the law. That's it. But some of the other issues that come up, so far as self-protection, and I mean, I'm the first one to support the police, first responders, the military. I can't say enough good about them. They do a fantastic job, but they can't do a preemptive strike on somebody who's about to enter my home. They're not allowed to by law. So what do? Do I sit there and somebody breaks in and I say, just a minute, I got to call the police and wait for them to get it? I can't do that. And when it comes to the money issue, where people are talking about, well, the spending money to defend it or whatever, the purpose of this resolution, as I see it, is to send a message to Trenton, to let them know how we feel, because they don't seem to know what we think. They need to know. They need to know that the people down here, there's a lot of us that support our Constitution. Now, you know, people think they don't understand how the rest of the country is. The rest of the country, I've been in a lot of states, you can just go in and just show your license, 3 days later you got a gun. It's not like that here. You've got a million regulations, and all we're saying is we have enough. We got more than enough. Go after the criminals. Criminals are criminals because they don't follow the law. You can make a million laws, but the criminal's still going to get a gun because they're a criminal.
Only because Corsi said right here.
Well, thank you. Michael Silver, County Council. I'm probably going to say things that make everybody upset with me, so that's what I do. So, I'm a gun owner. I know that's kind of hard to believe. I joked with the woman back there. You could be a gun owner and a Democrat. We do exist.
Absolutely.
That's right. I had a burglary in my home a couple years ago. Frankly, inherited some firearms from my father. I figured, look, I got to learn how to use these things. And you know, in the last couple of years, I've actually enjoyed it. Going to the gun range, shooting, you know, in a safe environment with friends, have a shotgun, have a 9mm pistol, and I enjoyed it in that controlled environment. And look, the gentleman talked about the registration and the fingerprinting, you know, with the FID card, then your guns. Look, I understand it. Every time you have to get a fingerprint every time. It's $60, right? So I understand the needs and the concerns of rightful Second Amendment gun owners. At the same time, I look at this resolution and I wonder, does this do anything for me as a gun owner? Does this protect my rights? I would argue no. Does this do anything to prevent my guns being taken away? No. So my question to everybody here tonight is, if it's not going to do anything, then what's the point? The gentleman talked about sending a message to voters. or sending a message to the politicians in trend. The way to do that is through elections. If you don't like the way the job's done, you vote them out. If you want it, look, we got I say this respectfully, 3 former assembly candidates on this dais here. There's probably 5 more prospective freeholder or assembly candidates. If you don't like the job that our senators or assembly people are doing, there's an election next year, vote them out. But to waste time on this, we've got so many more issues. And frankly, this isn't doing what you wanted to do. If you wanted to pass a resolution saying we support the Second Amendment, it would be 9-0, period. But this goes way overboard. It goes against what our Attorney General is saying. And again, as someone who owns 2 guns legally, this does nothing for me. And quite frankly, we got potholes to fill, we got jobs to create, we got health to
I like the Trump impeachment.
That mean I have to be nice to my chairman because he just told me
He impressed me.
Hello everybody, my name is Christopher Seiler from EHT. I may look like I know I am a kid, I might not know that much. To be honest, I honestly don't know most of this vocabulary you guys are talking about. I do understand one thing though. In most states, the states that don't have guns, the states that have the guns taken away, they have the highest crime rate. And the states that do have guns, that people who do own guns legally, they have the lowest crime rate. And I think this would be a great thing to sign.
Wrong.
Let me speak, please. I didn't correct the last 5 minutes. Go right ahead.
Yeah, that's actually all I had to say. I think this would be a great resolution to sign.
All right, thank you, Drew.
Eva Smith, Linwood. I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Livingston said, and also what you said about if we actually think that there will be people with guns and bikinis on the beaches. If someone who doesn't understand a lot of what's going on, what's being said, if they are low information voters, if they are people who only participate minimally in these discussions, what they're going to take from this is we are pro Second Amendment, and as much as we keep saying we've taken the word sanctuary out of it, that's still out there. It's on your shirts. So when they hear that, and I have already heard that people are saying, I'm so excited I'll get to carry. They don't understand what this is going to mean. I see your faces and I see you're shaking, but you aren't those people. Those people aren't here.
Where are they?
Wait, say it directly to me and the board.
Fine. Yes. So my point is this just is creating confusion, it's muddling, and I would like to second and third everybody who's saying there's no point in even voting on it because it won't do anything except cause confusion and put more people at risk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Cassis. I live in Egg Harbor Township. I'm a Hispanic Democrat and a gun owner. I'm also a veteran of the Marine Corps and the Army and National Guard. I know the difference between an M16 and an AR-15.
I know.
That's the problem. And we've heard some misinformation here about people reading from some Federalist papers or some notation, yet they say AK-47, I said, what was it, AK-10?
With buckshot.
With buckshot. This shows the ignorance
Excuse me, let's let the gentleman speak, please.
This shows the ignorance about the current guns that we have and the perception of what's going on there. When we say we're tired of the laws, right? You say that the law enforcement officers know what they're doing. This is a book to help describe the laws in New Jersey. This is outdated. This is 2017. We've had more laws passed since then. And yes, there are 44 bills. They're not all in the Public Safety Committee yet, but they're sitting on Assemblymen's desks and Senators' desks waiting to be passed. And as we know, Governor Murphy has not found a gun bill yet to pass that he didn't like. As far as them being constitutional, we have cases in the New Jersey Supreme Court, in the Federal District Court, and the Supreme Court waiting to be heard. You said you don't want to take away our guns. Well, the government has already taken away our property, right? We've had our 15-round magazines that we were told we either had to destroy or get out of state. no compensation, which kind of violates some of the Constitution already. And as far as our AR-15s, one of the pending legislations is to change the definition of an assault firearm. No longer assault rifle, but an assault firearm, which will change the definition of the guns that we bought legally when we followed the law of New Jersey, and they're going to change them into illegal guns.
Sorry, that's me. My mistake.
And as far as being called names as liberal, since I've been at these meetings, I've been called a white supremacist, a gun extremist, and a anti-government subversive. Okay,
Wow.
so when we talk about calling names, we're seeing plenty of ignorance on the other side also. All right, so one of the comments that were made last meeting was, well, you know, it's not the legal gun owners, it's the illegal gun owners, and they're stealing your guns, and that's how they're committing the crime. Well, most of us tell our wives and our spouses, other spouses, that we only have one gun. Well, there's 1,500 gun owners in New Jersey. So if we only have one gun, then it's 1,005, and it's more like 3 or 4, like we don't tell our wives. It's probably closer to 4 million. The amount of guns stolen.
That's your 3 minutes.
Sorry. Can I just say how many guns were stolen in New Jersey?
How many were stolen?
10 guns were stolen in New Jersey, 2019. 10.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Lee Diamond. I live in Margate. I'm always happy to hear all sides of an argument. Personally, my favorite amendments are the 1st, the 5th, the 6th, and the 14th. But I just don't think that this is necessary. And I'll just put a different perspective on this, which is that we live in a highly polarized society. We all know that. And I just don't think you guys need to be hearing this issue. I think the question for you is, I'll just offer my opinion. Do you want to be on the polarization train or not? Do you want to lead us in a more civil direction and have these issues, have the relevant issues discussed at the relevant place, or not? Maybe you want to share a view with the state legislature that these views are hotly debated in South Jersey, but I think that the resolution, as it's currently put forward, is not healthy for our civic order. It's not healthy for law enforcement, and it's just not, we're not going in a good direction. We need to change our direction. Now, I support gun control, but I also, I totally support what Mike Sullivan said, and I think that we should just maybe take a few steps back and try to calm down.
Every township and county that I've been told in New Jersey that's I've seen this is usually knee-jerk reacted to it within a week or two. We're 8 weeks on this.
Yes.
And getting to the point, you're trying to say that what we're doing here is useless. We are the fiduciary representatives of all of Atlantic County. When a large representative comes to this board, regardless of how frivolous we think it is, with their passion, we are charged to consider. Now, the Public Safety Committee is usually chaired by the majority party, but Ernest Corsi in the minority is the chairman because we believe his district has some public safety concerns. This is a bipartisan product that's being put out here, and we're going to vote it up or down. And like I think the chairman said of the committee, we're going to make half the people mad at this, half the people like it. But in essence, this is not frivolous because it is talking about impugning the rights in the Constitution of the citizens of Atlantic County.
Are you going to
let me finish, pal. Excuse me. I am not doing anything but upholding my oath under the Constitution. I'm not directing Eric Scheffler, the county, or the state. I'm representing people that have an interest here. And
Which
it is
people?
Yeah, which
And we represent try as best as we can to uphold what the Constitution tells us to do.
But you're a public policy maker.
I'm a legislator.
That's public policy.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about.
That's in your best judgment.
It's what's in the best judgment, in our opinion, for the people.
Which people?
Okay.
Yeah, which group? Not us.
Referendum.
My name's Ken Steiger, I live in the township, and I think everyone here believes...
Your name, sir, please?
My name's Ken Steiger, I live in Lake
And please address the board, thank you.
So I believe everyone here believes in the Second Amendment, in the entire Constitution. I compliment the group that's here in the red shirts. They have a group of people trying to back up what they feel. A majority of us, I feel, are here for a different opinion. I agree with the amendment. I feel that it does nothing inconsistent with the Constitution. And the reason I'd like to see it pass is because I feel it's giving you our voice that we can send to the state. I realize one municipality sending it up to the state doesn't do much. But the more municipalities that send it up there, the louder the voice will be. I believe we're empowering you.
Philadelphia baseball.
Jennifer Howard, I'm seeking, as someone who spends the majority of my time trying to promote what is family friendly about our area in terms of bringing in new people to live and people to come in to visit, voting this, approving this, does not pass that message that we are a place welcoming our families. Visit for safe.
So I just wanted to verify that Jean Meeker from Egg Harbor Township, that Mr. Corsi received my email.
I've got so many I probably did.
Okay, so it was advising him, he had asked to, what are we doing at the state level. I've spoken a couple of times with Chris Brown. I've also met with Senator Christopher Connors, Assemblyman Brian Rump, and Assemblywoman Diane Gove. They have heard it and they've supported it as well. Continue on going for more legislators and then to Trenton as well. So I'm doing that at that level. Also, I wanted to point out that New Jersey State Health Assessment data from the year 2000 for New Jersey, it had 342 deaths due to firearm-related injuries. But in 2013, it went up to 485. During that period, the law provisions for firearms went from 46 to 67. So you're telling me it went from 46 to 67, more laws were enacted, and we have more deaths by firearms. So they're not working. Okay, in a research study sponsored by the United States Department of Justice, Mr. White and Peter Rossi interviewed over 1,800 incarcerated felons asking how they felt about civilians and gun ownership. 33% of these criminals admitted to being scared off, shot at, wounded, or captured by a gun-owning victim. 69% of them know at least one other criminal who had similar experiences. Nearly 80% of felons also claim they intentionally avoid victims and homes that they believe may be armed. This shows that at least 1 in 3 criminals has been deterred because of an armed citizen, and that 4 out of 5 avoid victimizing people that have guns. This is a research study by the Department of Justice. It's not stuff I'm making up.
Thank you. Come out a little bit so we can see you.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell in your ear. Apologize.
Address the board.
Hi. Sorry. Chrissy Roach, Longport. I just wish everyone would have a Snickers and calm down. just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. I felt as though I had to speak. I have a personal story. My dear friend was shot and killed. And I don't blame the gun. I blame the evil on the other side. He made a choice. He's not a law-abiding citizen. And there are a lot of people like me that are law-abiding citizens. And we have guns. And we respectfully take care of them. And we really are proud Second Amendment Americans. Thank you, everybody.
First of all, I do want to... Rona Bronson, I live in Ventnor. First, I do want to thank the Atlantic City Freeholders for taking some time with us. Cape May, which has some of the language in our resolution, actually a lot of its citizens are now going to the freeholders meetings because they think they went too fast, and some of the language is not okay. So I would not compliment us on taking their language, because that was one of the ones that was rushed through. So first of all, thank you for taking the time. I would encourage you to take more time and perhaps have it go back into committee, because as many people said, the resolution has too many areas where people are debating it. I do want to clarify, because I am a member of Moms Demand Action. I want everybody to understand that Moms Demand Action supports the Second Amendment. The majority of the people in our group, including our co-lead, are legal gun owners and have guns in their homes. So what we are standing for is not to be against the Second Amendment, but to be for it, and to be for all aspects of it, including to ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the good welfare and blessing and liberty. That's why I am grateful for the strong gun laws in New Jersey, because we do have fewer deaths by guns because of our strong laws. The fellow from the Harley Davidson, I don't know your name, I'm sorry, I do agree with you. If you have an issue in Trenton, let's take it up with Trenton. I don't want to give do AC different meaning than it currently has. We are a hospitality community. I work in the hospitality industry. We want to be family friendly. I don't want too many people, in my opinion, go to Ocean City, New Jersey right now, because it defines itself as a family friendly city. Too many people feel they already can't bring their families to Atlantic City. I think it's really important that we support this as a family friendly community. That does not mean that we want to take away guns from lawful gun owners. It means we want to give the perception that we are a sanctuary city for a good time in the summer. And this resolution doesn't support that. Thank you.
Hi, Gary Green, Linwood. I keep hearing it over. This doesn't do anything. Why would we even entertain it? That's what everybody thought in Virginia. Virginia was about to pass numerous, very restrictive gun laws. And over 100 communities and counties in Virginia signed on to Second Amendment sanctuary status. And when it came time for the vote, the legislators at the state level heard it and backed off. We're tired of being held responsible for laws for people that are illegal gun owners. We're tired of it. It's not fair for us, who do everything by the law, to be grouped in with them and be held accountable for the actions of people who don't care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Vicki Jeffries. I live in Lakeland. Before you consider voting for this resolution, I want you to think about my job. I'm an elementary school teacher in Atlantic City, and we spend 20 minutes a month with our students, showing them how to hide in the dark and in complete silence. It takes a lot of time away from our instruction. We have 3-year-olds all the way up in my building, 3-year-olds all the way up to 12-year-olds. It's just, it's something that really, it's a shame that our world is like this now. My husband is a gun owner. I'm all for gun safety laws. I'm all for people owning guns legally. I just see a different side. All right, I see a different side. My principal sometimes, to make it sound real, she comes on the loudspeaker, and the children get a little hysterical. But because I'm in Atlantic City, we need to make it look like real life, and you know, that happens.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Christopher Seidler, Cover Township. I too do not come with a prepared statement. After some of the things I heard tonight, I felt the need to address the board. I would first like to thank the board for taking this bold move, and it is a bold step to speak up against the state when they're doing something wrong. They are big and they are powerful, and at times they do overstep. So thank you. We all know that the goal of many gun law advocates is, in fact, to take all our guns away. It is a slippery slope.
Where did you get that?
History. I would like to point out the board was asked about legal means. The legal means to protect my rights. Anybody that has an issue with taking legal means to protect the rights of the citizens is an anarchist. It doesn't make sense. We're taking legal means. That's what you're supposed to do. I would also like to point out, it was brought to the board's attention that this resolution is useless and dangerous. It cannot be useless and dangerous. That's an oxymoron. Excuse me. It was also brought to the board's attention that the Founding Fathers had limited vision. I'd like to point out that to say the Founding Fathers have limited vision is ignorant. Our Constitution is a living document, and therefore it is fully applicable in 2020. You're here. Furthermore, if you're afraid to spend taxpayer money to protect my rights, then why am I paying taxes? If you're afraid to speak out for my rights, why do I have a local government? Even if that means going all the way to the Supreme Court. Freedom isn't free. I would also like to point out that gun restrictions only tie the hands of law-abiding citizens. We live in a pluralistic society. So as a segment of South Jersey that is all too often overlooked in Trenton, I urge you to make a statement to Trenton. Thank you.
Right on.
Good evening. My name is Rose Hickerson. I live in Absecon. I'm here on behalf of the Second Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment. If you take people talking about ARs or a small handgun, lay it on the table, side by side or wherever. Is that thing going to go off? Is that going to hurt somebody? No, it will not. The gun is not the problem. The people are the problem. It has to take a person pulling the trigger. That's the problem. It's not the gun. Learn how to affect the people and find who's the ones that are wrong. Thank you.
Right on.
Before I start what I wanted to say, it is the people who pull the trigger, like that little 4-year-old boy in Browns Mills, who killed himself because his father was sleeping with a gun in the bed. All right, a couple weeks ago when I was here, oh, I'm sorry, Eileen Toland, Northfield. A couple of weeks ago when I was here, a man from the back of the room, I don't know who it was, stated that we, the people, we are the only ones to stop crime. We are the militia. Oh, God. Now, this, for those of you here with the Second Amendment thing, this is what we're being told. It happened right back in that corner, and everybody who was here heard it, and it was even posted in the newspaper. They were the words that were said by somebody in your group. Now, from listening to you all tonight, I mean, you're no different than we are. I don't have a gun. I've never even touched a gun. My son has guns. My kids have guns. But we're not against you having guns. That's what's crazy about this whole thing. You're walking around saying that people are going to take your guns away. You know, I had a whole lot of things ready to say, but I flew in from Boston today, and I can't even understand what I wrote. But I did go on to a blog from the New Jersey 2A Sanctuary, and this is how they state that they're being infringed on, their rights are being infringed on. There's one bill, or law, I guess, it's called the S-102, and it's about magazine bans, a ban on magazines and on gun bans, right? And it says that it criminalizes possession of magazines that can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. Who in the hell needs to shoot something 10 times to kill it? I'm sorry, you're not answering, I asked them.
Continue on.
I did, okay.
Rhetorical.
It turns 1 million law-abiding citizens into criminals, and here's the best one. It interferes with their ability of law-abiding citizens to defend themselves, because you can't have 10 or whatever. All right, the other one is the 160, S-160, and that allows suspension of gun rights to unaccountable or something like that. It's health professionals. So if you go to a health professional and he thinks that you need to have your gun taken away, they don't think that that's right. They don't think that that should happen. I'm sorry, I just have one more. And then the one is S-2376. And it says you can't exercise the right to self-defend outside of your home. Now,
Thank you.
Thank you.
excuse me, one thing. You guys took an oath to uphold, I know, and I encourage you to table this thing and get it. This is crazy. Maybe we should have, instead of just them, we should have
3
two.
minutes. 3 minutes, please. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, start with the hat.
That's not even half.
Brown hat.
My name's Adam Hood from Eggover Township. To comment on what Eileen said, if there's 10 people that break into your home,
Right to us.
sorry, I don't think that anyone could just, take out 10 burglars, criminals breaking into your home with only 9 bullets. Never seen it done. One thing that I wanted to point out that is a unconstitutional and infringing thing, the firearms ID card initial purchase is $5. They want to change it to $100. Do you think that is a reasonable, price? No, because it just went up $95. Every permit would go, and pistol permits, you have to get one per pistol, would go from $2 to $50. What kind of, sense does that make? That's not going to deter a criminal from getting a gun illegally, or even stealing it from a legal, firearms owner if they broke into your home and stole your whole entire house. It's not going to deter them. Nothing here is going to solve any of your problems with going and protesting what legal gun owners are doing. The main thing here is we're here saying that enough is enough. There's been, and even James, from Eggover Township, he even showed you the book. I've read that book. I've had to read that book twice, actually. And it took me almost a month to get through all of it. Now, here's the problem with all. Enough's enough. We're tired of being sitting here infringed upon, told that we can't do this, can't do that. We're not asking to run around, with a gun on our side. We already know that we can't carry in the state. It's not an open carry, concealed carry, it ain't anything like that. We're not any of the other 47 states that can carry. But what we are saying is that we have enough laws on the books. It's time to end this kind of stuff. If you want to make something that's actually sensible, that would take care of the criminalistic problems we have, sure, I'd be all for it. But unfortunately, the laws aren't getting enforced that we already have on the books. That's it. Thank
you. Yes. Ma'am.
That's you.
Nadine Flynn, Eggover Township.
I'm retired.
I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel, Army.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate that the Mom's Demand Action is against gun violence, not guns. And specifically, you keep talking about the worrying about criminals. That's something that I really think you're more worried about than we are, obviously. But the real deaths are happening with accidents and with suicides. So if you look at the statistics, that's what's happening. But my particular opposition to this measure is that it is unclear as to what will happen, and it's guaranteed to be made more unclear as each of our factions takes it back to our groups, and you're supposed to be fiscally responsible, but I see if anything happens, like the Attorney General of New Jersey said, which is, any kind of potential misunderstanding up to and including death, who do you think is going to have to pay for that lawsuit if it happens in this jurisdiction, whether it be the police that ends up dead or the perp that ends up dead, who thinks he had a right to his gun just because he doesn't agree with the law the way the New Jersey legislature passed it.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think the intent of this, in my view, because it doesn't give you a right to keep guns that you don't already have, or take them away. The intent is to intimidate legislators.
That's right.
Both at your level, because you have to prove to these guys now that you're on their side. And also at the state level. So it is, in my view, intimidation, and it's for what? You're going to create the situation where we're going to end up having to pay for lawsuits because some idiot, and there's always an idiot in every crowd, decides that he can say no to a policeman because he has a legal right to carry that gun.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public wish to speak?
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel.
This is my AK-47 with the banana clip and buckshot. I'm going to leave it there for a minute.
Why did you bring a gun? What?
I couldn't help myself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So my name is Mike Santoro, and I was here once before speaking. I was asked to speak again this evening. And I want to first say a couple of things. I don't think there's a person in this room, maybe not in the country with a brain cell, that doesn't appreciate common sense when it comes to gun laws and gun restrictions. Here's the problem. The Group 2A, unless I have you all wrong, we're here essentially to stand up for the fact that we don't want any more infringing restrictions placed on the legal gun owner. That's it. That's all it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we have law enforcement that are in this building. I know there's people who have held high-ranking positions in law enforcement. I know there's police officers in this building. I spent some time in law enforcement myself. I come from a long line of law enforcement people in my family. With that being said, you can pass all these feel-good laws all you want. All you want. It's not affecting one person except me, the law-abiding gun owner. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you're my neighbor and you're my neighbor and you're my neighbor and I'm your neighbor, and something happens, you're going to thank the Lord that I had a gun. Not everybody's going to be a public hero. Not everybody has what it takes to be in law enforcement. Not everybody has and possesses that courage. But there are a good amount of people in this country, as proven by the media every day, that will act. And they've stopped many, many things, negative things from happening. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a vigilante town. There's no way. Come on. Let's get real. I'm insulted, I'm offended, as a matter of fact, when people say, oh, well, the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey, he wrote this thing and he's afraid that, well, he's an idiot, in my opinion. Because if he's going to sit there and say that we're too stupid to understand what we're talking about by letting our legislators, our freeholders, be the voice of us, and say, look, we're just making a statement here. We want you guys to understand that there's a lot of people in Atlantic County that are pro-Second Amendment. For somebody to say that somebody's going to get that wrong, well, you're right. Somebody who just said there's an idiot in every crowd. And guess what? By the sheer number of 350 or 27 million people in this country, you're going to have an idiot in that crowd that's going to get a gun illegally. I'm willing to bet anybody in this room, I'm a gambling man, I'm willing to bet anybody in this room I can leave here, come back in 24 hours with a completely illegal weapon with the money in my pocket. Guaranteed. Don't tell me that any more laws, red flag laws, are going to stop a criminal from doing that. Let me tell you what a red flag law is going to do. I'm going to speak for one more second. I don't want to go over my time if I already have. One of the most abused laws in the state of New Jersey set of laws is the domestic violence laws. I worked in the building. I heard it with my own ears. Somebody comes in, they get disgruntled, they have an axe to grind with their partner, whatever, they go in there, next thing you know, they take their weapons. That's going to be the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, that happens with the red flag laws. It already happened to a police officer in Colorado.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Hitting the ring.
Holster that bad boy.
I don't even think it moved. Anybody else? Sure. Yes, ma'am.
I'm speaking on behalf of the over 6 million volunteers of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
Ma'am, is this your second time speaking?
I'm sorry?
Second time speaking?
Yes, the gentleman got to speak twice, he said.
No.
Did you say read this one? Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol. I'm from Upper Township, and I am speaking on behalf of over 6 million volunteers of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Moms, I'm here to let the freeholders know that by considering the illegal and unconstitutional request of the gun extremists, there have been some rather surprising and I'm sure unintended consequences. Since the Cape May freeholders and several municipalities rushed through these resolutions several weeks ago, our local membership has grown by a quarter in just a few weeks, and by the looks of things, we will continue to add members at an increasing rate. The Constitution stands for we the people, to ensure domestic tranquility, for the general welfare and grateful for the strong gun laws of New Jersey. These laws have given us protection and have made our state 45th in gun deaths nationwide. Red flag laws and background checks have been proven to save lives. And we are grateful to our state legislatures who have put the safety of our children and our citizens above the interests of the militia and the gun lobbies. We are in the middle of a gun violence crisis. It is unacceptable that here in America we have 100 of our citizens dying and 200 injured from gun violence every day. Americans are 25 times more likely to be killed by a gun than those in other developed nations of the world. In America, a child is unintentionally shot every 36 hours. Here in Atlantic County, many of our citizens count on our tourist economy. Optics matter. Do we really want to send a message to our families who are just starting to plan their summer vacation? Come to Atlantic County where guns and firearms are welcome. At Moms Demand Action, we are committed to fighting gun violence in all its forms because we know it doesn't have to be this way. We hope our freeholders recognize the need for strong gun laws and say no to this misguided resolution. All we are asking is for the public to understand we don't want your guns. We want background checks and we want red flag laws to try and keep guns out of the hands of people with bad intent. Now, anyone who has witnessed or been part of gun violence, especially in family matters, domestic violence, would appreciate somebody taking that gun away from their loved one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Anybody else wish to speak?
Hello everyone, my name is Sandy Hickerson. I live in Absecon here in Atlantic County. We can go back and forth all night. The facts are the facts. This is about the Second Amendment. This is about asking our freeholders to stand with us for the Second Amendment. I thank you so much for writing this resolution out. Freeholder Corsi, thank you so much for heading up the Public Safety Committee and doing your due diligence, and all of you freeholders for doing your due diligence and making this absolutely perfect for Atlantic County. That's why we trust you with this. And I can't express enough that we thank you for for standing up for the Second Amendment with us, the law-abiding citizens. We know this public session, you know, people stand up and they say that they're representing law-abiding gun owners or representing moms demand action. You know, there's always somebody in the crowd that's going to stand up and say something that you don't agree with. Just as the Miss Eileen, I believe, stated, you know, there was a man in the corner and said that we are the militia. We are not the militia. We are the law-abiding gun owners of Atlantic County, of New Jersey, and we're just standing up for the Second Amendment for our rights. And we thank you so much for hearing from both sides, and I just can't express that enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
I'm Rhoda Kaplan from Martin. I haven't heard the young boy's name who was killed in Pleasantville mentioned one time tonight. And no one has said whether or not law-abiding citizens were holding the guns that killed him. We are not talking about the people who are here. We are talking about the improper use of guns by men that killed our Pleasantville young boy. And we have to keep him in mind and prevent people from illegally getting guns like those men did.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak? Seeing none. Close the public portion.
Let me just summarize again. Thank you also for coming out. And as indicated on both sides of the aisle, we've heard you loud and clear. Some things we agree, and some things I agree and disagree with, but you are certainly entitled to your opinion. It has certainly been an eye-opener for me from day one when you come before this freehold board to address your concerns one way or the other. I am sure at the end of the day I'll probably have some enemies, but I'm used to that. I might have gained a friend or two along the way, and if not, I think we all have responsibilities as elected officials to hear from our constituents, even if they're not from this county. You've come and you've raised some concerns and you have enlightened us on some of the issues up and down the state. I think this board would agree. At the end of the day, whether this resolution passes or fails, it is still our state legislators' responsibilities. And I think that you need to continue to put the pressure on your assembly people and your senators, even up to the governor's office. And by the way, while we are talking about the governor, we're certainly hoping that each and every one of you will keep the governor and his family in his prayers that they'll uncertainty tomorrow, when you read in the newspaper. But moving forward, I think it's been a healthy discussion. I hope this is not the end. Whether, again, this resolution goes up and down, I can honestly say, as the chair of the committee, I've gotten some feedback, kickback from some of my colleagues, for and against, pro and con, but it was a healthy discussion. So we have the right to agree to disagree. But one thing about it, at the end of the day, we didn't have to be disagreeable. And we've heard you. We've heard you on both sides of the aisle. You know, when it's all said and done, we would hope those who are law-abiding citizens continue to do what they're supposed to do. None of us are above the law, and the Attorney General is right. We've got to make sure that we do not put our police, law enforcement, and public safety in jeopardy. This doesn't give you the right to go out in the middle of your block and start shooting off a gun tonight and saying you've got a victory. But what it does say is that the Board of Freeholders in Atlantic County, I thank you personally, and those of you who sent me emails, I thank you. Some of them I didn't like, because that's the nature of business. But some of them were very pleasant. I think you were right to the point. And I thank you for even taking the time to email, send us letters. But this is helpful because it lets us as elected officials know. Just because we sit here, we still have to answer to the taxpayers of Atlantic County. And let me just say this in closing. You can rest assured Ernest D. Corsi Sr. will not spend any taxpayers' money for any group to fight the Second Amendment. That is a state law. But what I'll do is hold up the Constitution, and that's your first Second Amendment right. I will do that until the day is done. And again, at the end of the day, let's leave here with the understanding that we must respect each other's opinion. And so with that, Chairman, I'm just balancing my time. As always. But I reserve them to come back.
Any other Freeholder comments? Freeholder Patino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things too. We've heard you guys obviously over the last few meetings. A lot of your comments were taken into committee, and I want to give the committee compliments too. It was anybody could put a resolution out there. You didn't duck it. You worked on it as a team. You gave us something that protects the rights, and all we attempted to do with this, we didn't mention there's no sanctuary, there's no getting around the laws that are on the books. You're protected, that's all we're stating in here, is that you're protected by the Second Amendment, as you should have, which is your guaranteed right, and we're asked to affirm that. That's how I took the resolution as it's presented. Where people are very passionate on both sides. And we hear this all the time from our own families. So we appreciate, I understand it. But really, to me, this resolution, we stayed clear of a lot of those issues and stayed pretty focused on what we were attempting to do. It's your right, by the Constitution, to bear arms. So that's all, and I said earlier, I compliment the work. It's not simple. We didn't duck it. I think you gave us something, for me anyway, that satisfies my concerns.
Thank you, Freeholder. Yes, Freeholder.
So, 4 meetings ago we started. This is the 4th meeting. And when we started, I had a gut reaction to this conversation, but I told you I would do my homework, and I did. I talked to a lot of people because it is my job to get out of my bubble and hear what all the constituents and residents of Atlantic County are thinking. Let me just say that I have 6 immediate family members who are veterans. I have handled a rifle on my own, target shooting. I do not hate guns. I talked to a lot of people. I spoke to police officers, attorneys, veterans, hunters, and target shooting sportsmen. I have friends and families who are hunters and use firearms for recreation at gun ranges, and not one person I spoke with was in favor of this. The resolution is symbolic and changes no law. Anyone who doesn't obey the law is going to be arrested. Actually, one police officer asked me if the freeholders were going to escort people to court when he arrested someone who broke the law. I know. It's funny. We talked about the illegality or unconstitutional matter of red flag laws, and how someone said a couple of meetings ago that they were applied whimsically and via hearsay. I think we heard hearsay again today. In fact, according to the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office, which oversees Atlantic County and Cape May County, the emergency risk protection orders, which is what they're technically called, and some are temporary, TERPOs, some are final, FERPOs. In Atlantic County, since this law has been enacted, there was one temporary order where weapons were withdrawn from the home. When that happens, within 10 days, the firearm owner is entitled to a second hearing with the Superior Court judge who issued the first order. In Atlantic County, there have been 0 final orders. The person, whoever that was, got their weapons back. In Cape May County, there were 6 temporary orders and only 2 final orders. Advocates have fought long and hard to disarm people deemed dangerous after, at one time, they were considered eligible to hold firearms. Domestic violence, for example, is just one area where this rule has saved a lot of lives. So the numbers that we're talking about, 1 and 0 and 6 and 2, are not large numbers, nor are they an indication that the law is being applied whimsically. One of the other bills that we talked about was A6003, the one that requires liability insurance, $50,000. It's already in your homeowner's insurance, and it's pretty much died in committee, so that's another one that's gone. Someone emailed me today who wasn't able to make this meeting, somebody who's very familiar with Supreme Court law, emailed me a decision from 2008, this century, 2008, and the opinion was written by Justice Scalia, a conservative. It was Heller versus District of Columbia. Mr. Heller sued the District of Columbia because he was told he couldn't have a gun in his house. I think it was unregistered. I'm not a legal scholar. But the opinion in that, from that case was that the right, singular, to bear arms was one gun in the house. And that was a Supreme Court decision. Just thought I'd let you know that came to me. Pardon me?
It's not in Heller. I've read the entire decision, but there's not even written papers on it. It's not in Heller.
Sir,
Well,
sir.
I have it on my phone. We can read it together. if
Don't
you
direct,
like.
do not direct.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. So I just want to ask one other question. Can I ask a question?
Please.
Okay. So this is about good guys with guns stopping bad guys with guns. I think that's the message we got, right?
No.
No, we didn't get that
Nope.
message?
It has nothing to do with
Okay.
a constitutional right.
Thank you.
Freeholder Bennett?
Thank you, Chairman. So, like my colleague said, it is the fourth meeting, and I've been very enlightened on both sides. I'll admit that this resolution is hard for me because, and I have family members that are in law enforcement as well as in the military and veterans. I work in mental health, I work in crisis down in Cape May, and oftentimes I've had to submit documentation to county adjusters and county prosecutors and local law enforcement on danger to self and danger to others. So I do believe in red flag laws, although I think it's important that we hear both sides of this argument. And I don't know which gentleman said this in terms of the increase in monetary fees for a permit. That's a reasonable concern. I do agree. So I wish that there was a task force or committee on the state legislature that brought together members of both sides of this argument to advise the Attorney General on common sense gun laws so that everybody's voice could be heard, because I truly believe that a shared vision also includes shared responsibility.
Thank you, Chairman. Just want to reiterate that again, the committee's purpose and spirit and intent with the resolution is to say no more onus on legal gun owners. For the record, we specifically did not include words like through legal action, meaning lawsuits, or through the power of appropriation of public funds. We specifically made sure that they were not included. And I don't think, it's been said a couple times tonight that this is a waste of time, what are we doing here? It is never a waste of time to get involved in government. It is our job. It is our job to listen to the public on any issue at any time. That is what we do, no matter whether or not we think it might be a waste of time or not. That is our job. Would have loved to have this much public comment on the ACEA and the budget, but I'll hope for that for another meeting.
You'll never get out of here if you
I also don't think it would be a waste of time, and Ashley, you kind of took the words out of my mouth as well. Janet, for you, and Sandy, you know, to maybe pledge to get together, sit around a table, and review those 44 pieces of legislation, Sandy, that you sent us, to take a look at some of the things that we have heard that I think is a great point. You know, red flag laws remove the gun, but it doesn't address some of the mental health issues and concerns. These are real issues that need to be addressed, and it's not in our purview to do that. So I would really love to see the two organizations make a commitment to come together and really invoke positive change by sitting around a table and going one by one. And I will happily sponsor 44 resolutions that come from a joint committee to send to Trenton to say we support or we're against whatever your joint committee comes out with. And that I would absolutely not be a waste of anybody's time.
So you're gonna hold this until we get a chance to do that?
These are my comments. And that
You mentioned these specifically, so I thought I could respond.
It's not a debate, sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Bennett?
Let's go.
Chairman, I actually think that calling for a resolution for the state to create that and appoint members for both sides would actually be more informative and more impactful than this resolution.
Yes.
Need to be heard on both sides of this argument. And if there are, and it sounds like there is valid concerns with some of the legislation, then let's dialogue about it in the proper place.
Any other comments? We have considered this for about 8 weeks. I think due diligence by this committee is exemplary. I think we've listened to both sides of it. All due respect, I have a brother that's a prosecutor, 2 nephews that are police officers, and there is plenty of laws on the books that takes away guns from spouses of victims of domestic violence, and they're not returned for years. And that's in Atlantic County and Cape May County, I can cite that. The laws on the books in the state of New Jersey are some of the toughest in the country. This is not about changing those laws. I read the report by our Attorney General, and he has his concerns about police, but, you know, no policies put police in harm's way more than the ones that encourage citizens to aid and abet criminals to break federal law. Thank you. This resolution we're voting on now encourages citizens to support the police enforcing federal law under the Constitution. And I just have to say what this resolution is not. It is not a law that is enforceable. This is not, there is nothing here that is going to change federal or state law. But we are the voice of people with concerns, regardless of what side of an issue. And the concerns here are the deterioration of rights imbued under the Constitution's Second Amendment. And you may say that there is nothing here in the 44 pipeline bills that are going to defray the rights of individuals owning guns, and I don't think that that can be validated. All we can do is have, and Ashley, I love your concept of getting a dialogue on, but we are representing a strong segment of our constituents that feel like their Second Amendment rights may be under attack. And therefore, I think we should vote this resolution up and down. And all discussion is over. We'll call the vote.
Bennett? No. Bertino?
Yes.
Corsi?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
No.
Gatto?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
Risley?
Yes.
Formica?
Yes. Right, everyone, we have a little more business, but unless you have to hand over to somebody, you can stay for the rest of the meeting. Brought us to the end of our printed agenda. We'll now take reports. Special committees.
Chairman, just a heads up, we can kick off the 2020 subcommittee meetings of New Jersey Transit Subcommittee today. We started talking about our medium and long-term goals. One of the biggest outcomes of this meeting was New Jersey Transit will be spending a significant amount of money to conduct 2 studies that have to do with the expansion of service of the line and the higher frequency of service. So we'll continue to look forward to that. But we're continuing to go to New Jersey Transit.
Not so fast.
Thank you. Any other reports to the board from special committees? Seeing none? Any unfinished business? Seeing none? Any new business? Freeholder Fitzpatrick.
The BPU has grants available for municipalities to buy electric vehicles. Jerry.
Jerry, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah. I haven't heard that, yeah.
That was most informative.
Well, thank you.
I did not know. Okay. Anything else on the new business? Okay, we've all received emails, written communications, correspondence. Anyone wish to discuss correspondence at 10 and 9? Okay. And now, final public comments. Anybody in the public wish to speak? Yes, sir, in the back there. Friends in action.
Hello, to all our freeholders. Just wanted to let you know,
please.
I'm Anthony Brower, president of Friends in Action Incorporated.
Okay.
This year, the Atlantic City NAACP is having its Freedom from Breakfast. Show that they might have gotten in contact with you. This year, I am being honored by the NAACP for the Community Service Award. But I have said, one of my good friends Jeff has said, is that the award is for the community. And therefore, I've been encouraging most of our sponsors to bring some of our seniors out, our single moms, to come and celebrate a community event. Because in upcoming April 11th, the breakfast is April 25th, but prior to that, April 11th, is our Easter egg hunt that we do in Atlantic City, Pleasantville, and other areas. But I've said, I'm like, hey, it's not Anthony that's filling 100,000 Easter eggs. That's not happening. I'm like, and truthfully, up to this point, I'll tell you, when we do our Easter egg hunt in Atlantic City, I have about 60,000 of them little eggs full of candy. Well, it's the community that does that. 300, 400 Easter baskets. I'm like, feeding everybody for 8 hours to 9 hours. We feed the public. But it's the community that's volunteering and helping. So when this award was being bestowed upon me, my thing was, it's not me. It's the community that deserves this award. So I hope to see y'all there. I'm like, hope to celebrate. I'm going to have a little after celebration. I'm like at Kelsey the kids later on, whatever. But I tell everybody, I'm like, hey, this is going to be a day that they will never forget for the Freedom from Breakfast of the AC. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I have to talk to the president of NAACP to see how you got selected.
I have no discouraging comments. Yes.
I'm Ken Steiner. I'm the ride coordinator for American Legion Riders. We are a motorcycle division of American Legion. And one of the many things that we do, we don't solicit them, but whenever requested, we provide motorcycle escort for funerals for veterans to the veteran cemetery. There's a lot of construction going on out there right now. And I guess my question is there any way you can help us with information? When is the completion date going to be? As we go in there now, when you get a quarter of the way through, it all turns to sand. The road is
Are you talking about the veteran cemetery?
Yeah, the roadway is totally
we can give you an
demolished.
update on that.
Yeah.
We don't have it right here, but I mean, we'll be glad to do that. You just give us a way to get in contact with you.
Absolutely.
That'd be easy.
Yeah, we're putting 800 to 1,000-pound motorcycles driving through sand is treacherous.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
We appreciate what you do. Thank you very much.
How's Rick Palatucci doing?
Captain Rick.
Captain Rick.
He's doing good.
Tell him I said hello. Okay.
We just give that card to that gentleman sitting right next to you.
We just did a funeral
That gentleman with TCO.
We just did a funeral 2 days ago, as a matter of fact.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak? Yes.
Tim Kreischer, vendor. I didn't have a position on this gun issue. I just hope everybody that attended tonight, and I wish I could have said this when everybody was in the room, appreciates what the Freeholder Board did. And particularly just appreciation for Freeholder Forces Committee and the time and effort that you put in. It's obvious that it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. I heard 3 of these meetings, and I think I missed one that was on the website. but thank you to your committee for the effort and time that you put in. Freeholder Meeting, the chairman, for controlling the meeting, which was very passionate and very emotional on both sides. I was impressed that nobody's rights were curtailed. You gave everybody the last minute. I think we're almost 3 hours into the meeting, but you let everybody have their say within the 3 hour or 3 minute restriction. And to the entire freeholder board, I made it a point to look around during the meeting, and each of you were paying attention. And a lot of this stuff had been said before, and you heard it, but you showed the respect that all of them, you listened, you paid attention, you weren't convincing, you weren't, you know. So I hope everybody appreciates that. And as somebody that didn't have a position in this, I just want to point these things out.
That's some very nice compliments. We're going to have to appoint you to more boards. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's heartfelt. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Should I stand? Does it matter?
How do you feel?
It's almost I want to sit. Let me tell you. On this, the High Holy Day of Politics, Super Tuesday. But I just wanted to ask, because I did mention during my comment earlier that specificity should be included in the resolution about what legal means means. So can I just ask what legal means means? What are the limitations of legal means? And if you have to get back to me or have this listed.
I think we sort of got the explanation.
I did not.
But basically, if something was wrong and we had a chance to remedy it, whether it would be just, authorizing the executive to research it, whether it would be, we cannot spend any money here without it being authorized by the administration. But if something's wrong, we have a duty to try to correct a wrong, right? Mm-hmm. So nothing's wrong that we know of yet. But if something is wrong.
If I may, Chairman.
Yeah, please.
Again, legal means that we have is resolutions and ordinances. That's it.
Litigation?
We specifically, as I stated in my comments,
No.
did not put verbiage in there supporting litigation or financial support.
You also did not put anything that restricted that.
Well, that's why I stated it for the record. That's why I specifically stated it for the record.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Jeff Dorsey, Atlantic City. First time attendee. It was a very interesting and awesome meeting today. Nice to meet you all, and thank you for the job that you do. Mr. Corsi, awesome guy, we go way back, and I don't know, I look forward to coming to more meetings and kind of figure out what's going on around here.
Thank you for coming.
Did you just say you're awesome?
No page supporters.
Dorsey Construction does outstanding job.
All right. Anybody else from the public? Seeing none. We'll close the public portion. Anything for the good of the order?
Chairman, one thing, don't kill me. I just want to give kudos. Jerry, thank you so much for finally holding a damn committee meeting. DAF. It was productive, it was positive. There is an agreement to meet on a monthly basis with a committee agreement a week prior that if there's nothing to discuss, they will cancel it. But at least we have dates, times now scheduled out, and I want to thank you for finally making that happen. Publicly, since I've killed you.
And Jerry, thank you for doing that, so I don't have to listen.
Damn good job.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Good evening.